What's up, everybody? Episode 184, Staggered Stance, formerly known as the Nick and Matt Show. I don't think I need to say that anymore.
Probably not.
But it's April Fool's Day. You never know. I mean, people might...
We didn't do anything this year for that.
No, we did not.
Dang.
Episode 184, random intro, guys. Up here in New England, specifically in central Massachusetts, there's a bubbly water brand, Polar. If you had to choose, of everyone on the show here, if you guys, I don't know if you probably don't drink bubbly water, but have you ever had Polar?
Of course. What?
Well, you have.
Had Polar, and it's not even the best like seltzer in New England. It's made
it is.
in New England. Spindrift is where it's at. I'm Team Spindrift. I'm sorry. I'm also not a Worcester native, so
Okay.
I don't have that affiliation.
Well, I'm
Doesn't
glad
Polar
you
make
told
the
us.
orange dry?
Yes, they do make orange dry, but that's the
Yeah.
soda version, the sugar.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Long story short, it's my favorite. It's super bubbly. I love it. Josh, do you have a favorite? What do you drink?
Well, I signed off. I know you're asking about seltzer, but I signed off Diet Mountain Dew this year. I haven't had it in like 82 days, and I think I drank one every day for like 10 years.
What?
We're more than 82 days into the year, though. So
Yeah, I started late.
Evan, pull your mic up a little bit,
Oh,
if you don't mind. It'll be helpful to there. It'll balance you out a little more.
That's
So yeah, Matt,
Do I have to re-roast
seltzer's
Josh?
okay.
Yeah, no, we heard him just enough. And
Seltzer's okay. That's all I have to say.
all right, and Nick just signed off of his work for the day. But
I did.
all right, Ben, tell us about our friends over at 978. We talk about them every week, but this
Yo.
time it's your turn.
Alrighty, this episode is presented by Disc Golf 978. They have all your disc golf needs, the lowest pricing you can find, advertised online. If you're local to New England, that means if you go in their store, they can have even better deals. They just can't advertise it online.
Oh,
Yeah, that's how it works. So it's minimum advertised pricing. So, like, say you buy a disc, they buy a disc from their dealer, and the minimum they could advertise online, that's what it's at, no matter what. No ifs, ands, or buts. They're not gonna go above that. That's just how they do it. And they're incredible pricing. Free shipping over $25. That's basically a Halo Destroyer, and then you get free shipping. I don't really know any other brand that's doing that for that low. And coolest thing about Disc Golf 978 is if you are a tournament director or want to run a tournament, and they have a giant trailer that has pretty much their entire store. They handle all the payouts, and they just give an all-around way better experience at your tournament because they provide snacks. They have some awesome BCAAs on there, which I honestly is kind of like a sneaky thing I really love. It's just flavored water, basically, but it's free.
It's good. And in mid-tournament,
Yes,
you're like,
it's
you
like
want it.
I'm slugging it down, and they just moved to Meadowbrook, which is number 2 or 3, top 5.
Yes, number
Of course,
2,
in
3, top
Massachusetts.
5. Dave Chandler's coming for you
According
now.
to Udis, that's
right.
why I don't want to
It can
cause
be
any
top
issues.
one in your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
not
so-
Nick. Ben, if you'd like it to.
Okay, well I know Wesley's in the chat. I just don't want to make enemies. But according to
2,
Udis, top
3,
2.
4, 5.
So yeah, check out Disc Golf 978. Again, Scott and Melissa, they're incredible people. Oh, and they can print your polo shirts and all that, logos and stuff. So they have this new division of Disc Golf 978 where if you need a polo branded, hit them up, or really anything. They just have it all, so they're incredible.
They're willing to go out of their way to help figure out a solution for your disc golf problems. And now that sounded like an advertisement, but really, if you have an idea or you need help with something, they're like, yeah, we can do that most of the time. And to Ben's point, if you're running a tournament, or I guess you compete in tournaments, tell the tournament director to use their tournament service. It makes everybody's life easier. And frankly, it's the only tournaments I really want to play is the ones that they're behind, because it makes my life better with player packs and payouts. Thank you, Disc Golf 978. Use code WeLove978. Check out, let them know you support us and them. And get a good breakfast and a lunch before you're around if you're local or you're flying in to play Maple Hill, swing up there. You'll love it. All right, guys, we had a lot going on this week, as the week before, and as the week before. It just goes on and on now. We do have a little break here coming up to Jonesboro, which we'll be looking forward to. But I'm kind of looking forward to this break, just a little bit. 1 week, let's take a little refresher, away from disc golf competition. But Evan, we saw some incredible things this weekend. Stuff that doesn't happen every single tournament. Go ahead and fill us in on some of this. What happened at the Texas State Championship.
You are correct. We saw things that we don't normally see, event to event, but also year to year in all of disc golf history. It's pretty incredible. I mean, to start, we saw the first ever Norwegian win an Elite Series event, an MPO or FPO. This being an FPO by Anakin Sten or Anakin Christensen Sten. I don't know. I don't know if that's her middle name or if she has two first names or how she goes about it. We'll hear from her later. But she wins her first career Elite Series event. She's a 4-time PDGA Euro Tour winner, with one of those also being a Disc Golf Pro Tour silver event. That was 2022 PCS Sula Open when the Disc Golf Pro Tour went over there for some silver events prior to the European Open that year. So she is not new to winning, but new to winning at this level at the Elite Series. She's a 3-time and reigning Norwegian champ. And she's a lefty. If you did not watch, that's really cool that we're also seeing a lefty win. We don't see that very often, but she wins it over a completely full field. This wasn't just like a who's that, who wins, like when it's not a full field. Like, no, she beats Kristen Tatar outright. She was tied with Owen Scoggins going to the final round, beats her as well, plus everyone else that's in the field. Really, really incredible win. This now marks 5 unique FPO winners to start the season. From 5 major and elite events. That's the first time we've ever seen 5 unique winners to start a season in FPO. We have seen 4 of 4 to start a season before, but this one eclipsed that record-breaking number. We also have seen an 1,000 event rating or better from each of the 5 winners so far this season in FPO. That is also a record. I might have said that last week, saying it was a record, and we have broken it again. Last week set the record with 4. It used to be 3 for multiple years in the past. Both the last 2 seasons have seen 3 in a row, but now we've seen 5,000 rated winners in a row for FPO. That is the new standard. If you want to win on tour in FPO, you have to be shooting 1,000 rated, which was fairly rare until about 2021 or so, that we saw it more often, maybe not more often than not, but we saw it throughout. So really, really incredible just to see this level of play. This was a nail biter down to the finish. Like I said, Owen and Anakin were tied going into the final round with Kristen Tatar right behind. Strokes were going all over the place. At one point, Tatar had the outright lead, and then going into the final hole, Kristen Tatar goes OB, and Anakin is able to lay it up for the win. Really incredible. We said kind of similar things just a few weeks ago when Niklas Antila won, and how it was such a big win for Finland, getting their first MPO Elite Series win. Here we are to semi-neighbors. They got to jump through Sweden, but they're European semi-neighbors getting their first win at the Elite Series. I'm really excited just to see what the response is from all Norwegian disc golfers. Of course, they have a really cool disc golf culture as well. But I'll throw it to you guys. What did you think of this win? I kind of think there's 4 ways to categorize this win, or 4 potential ways. There's the all right, this is about time. This winner should have won before, or was up there, and they finally did it. There's the up and coming kind of player, where they're knocking at the door for a while, not quite should have gotten a win, but have been close, and yeah, okay, it happened. There's the surprising, I did not expect this, but it's not absolutely crazy. And then there's the almost kind of fluke category, which I don't love that word, but it might describe it the best, which is I don't know how this person won. I don't think they're going to win again. That was, I don't know how to categorize it. So I'll leave it pretty open-ended. I can call on people if no one wants to talk. But how would you categorize this win, and just general thoughts about Anakin Sten's victory?
That sounds like the teacher at school. If no one's going to answer, I'll call on you. I'm not answering first. I'm not answering first.
I'll go ahead.
Go ahead, Nick.
I was going to say, I mean, it's incredible to see. This is one thing that we were talking about in our group chat, was it's great to see a lefty kind of come away with a win. It's rare to see on the Disc Golf Pro Tour in general, lefties coming away with a win. In the FBO division, we saw it. And then I wouldn't say fluke at all. I mean, baller player, averaging over 1,000 is nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, I think that's incredible. And so I would say more of an upset, but not a fluke. You kind of have Kristen Tatar.
That surprising category I threw out? Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely say the surprising category. And Kristen definitely, the last 2 rounds, gave a run for her money. Tried to make an epic comeback with it. Just fell short of it coming into the 18th hole, throwing out of bounds, to where Anakin was able to just lay up and walk away with the victory, which is pretty awesome. But definitely surprising and an upset.
Let's go to Ben. I'm calling on you.
Oh,
What's up?
no, why'd you put Evan up?
He was talking. I mean,
About time, up and coming, surprising, or fluke. How would you categorize this win and just general thoughts about Sten's victory?
to me, I honestly haven't really known much about her game, and so I'll say it seems to me like an up and coming type win. Whereas, I guess a little bit surprising and up and coming, where she's highly rated. You know, I've always known her name. I know she's always been decent, but she just needed to put it together, and it was just her weekend. And that's the beauty of disc golf. Sometimes you have the tools. It's just about putting all the tools together, and she finally did. And I think it's going to give her a lot of confidence going further that she can beat Kristen and some of these incredible players if she just plays the game she knows. And so yeah, I'd say up and coming for sure, and I wouldn't be surprised if we hear more from her soon.
All right. I just want a quick answer from Josh and Matt. 4 categories: about time, up and coming, surprising, or fluke. What do you think it is? And then move on to AB.
Just surprising, because, and I'm very brief here. It's her first 1,000 rated round, and then she does it 3 times in a row. So like, it's just, you don't see that coming. So surprising.
Yeah, I say surprising, and I've actually had the privilege of already interviewing her. For those who don't know, we had to snag an interview with her earlier this morning because she's on a flight back to Norway, so this will be pre-recorded. And you'll get to hear her answer in regards to that as well. But I would say surprising, and I thought maybe she was good, in Norway, 4-time Norway champion. But then
3-time Norway champion, 4-time Euro Tour champion.
Yeah,
Not
and
to be
then
a stickler for the stats.
Yeah, well, I'm just reading it off of her Instagram, so you can fix her Instagram.
Oh, does it say 4-time?
Well, no, it says 3-time in current.
I take that as 3-time. To be fair, I got it from Instagram because it was on her event page. It's very, very Norwegian event name. And so I was very confused if that was Finnish national champ or not. But it was
That's okay. It just says 3-time and current Norwegian champ. But anyways, I thought, she's good there. She can stand out and compete when the field's not strong. But here she is. She did it. And frankly, I was super excited, blown away, and impressed, and loved every minute of it. Because Kristen, we wanted to see her come back from behind at an event. I can say I specifically did. And Kristen was charging. And somehow, because she has the skills, Anniken kept up, hit big putts when she needed to. It was just incredible. So I was surprised.
All right. Well, Josh, you also shared a cool stat that I totally didn't share leading into these questions. But yeah, she shot her first 1,000 rated round in round 3. In round 1. Ooh, getting ahead of myself here. In round 2, she shot her second career 1,000 rated round. And then in round 3, she shot her third career 1,000 rated round. She shot her first, second, and third all in the same event. That's the first time anyone in FPO has ever done that, shooting their first 1,000 rated round and their third 1,000 rated round, all 3 in the same event. She goes on to win and wins the world's best. So that's absolutely incredible. Let's hop over to Anthony Barella, who gets the win. He was leading by 6 strokes going into the final round. We shared some stats online that MPO Major and Elite leaders going into the final round by a 6+ stroke lead are 45-0. They have never lost, 100% win rate. And here we go. Anthony Barella, semi-fresh off of a win at chess.com, looking like one of the best players in the world. That lead slowly gets smaller and smaller. Ezra Aderhold was pushing. We'll hear from him later. And then Gannon Burr from he was on the lead card. That's correct. Sorry. I was for some reason thinking it was on Chase, but definitely on lead. He was pushing and made a real late push going into the final hole. Well, actually going into hole 17, Anthony Barella didn't have the best upshot, but made a really, really clutch putt. I don't actually know if it was inside circle, would have been deep circle, or maybe short circle 2. There we go. Thanks. And made a really, really clutch putt to get the birdie on that hole, keep Gannon Burr just a little bit back. So that way going into the final hole, I think Gannon knew that AB was at least going to par it, maybe birdie. So Gannon Burr was clearly going for the ace. And from the camera view, looked pretty darn close. I think it might have been a couple feet off from the ace. Definitely gave it a run for its money, trying to do a James Conrad holy shot impression. But, a Gannon Burr, which I'm dubbing this. If he made that, it would have been the perfect shot.
Perfect. Gannon, perfect.
I think that'd be pretty good. But it didn't happen, so it wasn't perfect. But he ends up parking it. Anthony Barela, has a good enough shot just to lay it up, get the one-stroke victory. Was a nail biter at the end, but he still gets the win, and that's all that counts. This is win number 2 for Anthony Barela in the series. This is win number 2 for Anthony Barela. Second career Elite Series win. He has now won 2 of the 4 MPO Elite Series events to start the season. He's the first player since Adam Hammes to win their first 2 Elite Series or major events in the same season. Adam Hammes did in 2021. Of course, Barela and Hammes are pretty good buddies. And then he has now won 2 of the first 4. That's the first time since Ricky Wysocki also in 2021 did that, winning 2 of the first of 4 major elite events to start a season. And then going back to Adam Hammes, actually, he won Masters Cup and MVP Open that year, but notably MVP Open was one of the final events of the season. So it took him almost the full season to get those 2 first career Elite Series events in the same season. Barela, on the other hand, has done it in the first 4 events, which is absolutely incredible. So you guys can share some thoughts about Barela, but I am asking you a question. I want everyone to tell me, how many wins do we think Anthony Barela is going to have? Last year, the most wins we saw in MPO for the season at major and elite events was only 3 by Gannon Burr. Calvin Heimberg got 2 pretty early. He got his second at Jonesboro, but last year Jonesboro was at the end of April. So although we'll see it at mid-April, it's still a couple weeks after we had Champions Cup and Music City Open before Jonesboro last year. So about end of April, we saw the first player get 2. Anthony Barela has beaten that mark and looks unstoppable. I will answer at the end, but I want to hear from you guys.
What would be a crazy answer? What would be a crazy answer? And I'm going to say it.
5.
I was just going to say 5 or 6, and that's crazy. But I actually think I wouldn't bet on it, but the possibility's there. That's my answer.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say 4, probably being mildly conservative, even though that's not conservative. Again, I don't like it. I'm kind of torn because after 4 events, if you just do an average, he's like finishing 2.5. And he's won half of them. The other 2, right, finishing in 4th. And I'm torn because all the conversation over the last few years transitioning a little bit away from Macbeth and Wysocki and a few other players' dominance. We're like, well, that the era of that kind of dominance is probably past, right? A lot more parity. And then yet we're sitting here saying, well, maybe one player is going to get 5 wins. Honestly, I'm kind of torn. It's so early in the season. I feel like it's an overreaction. But if I only go off of 4 events, how could you not say he's going to win?
To be clear, I don't think he's going to win 5 or 6. But if I'm putting a number of what the possibility could be, it's there. I think if I had the
possibility is like 15, right? Like,
well, maybe. I looked at all the events, and I'm looking at the ones that I think he's got the advantage to play to, and that's a whole other conversation on courses and all that. But yeah. Anyways, I don't need to go on. Nick, you already said 5. Ben, what do you think?
Oh, no. I was saying 5 for you. You
crazy.
You were asking earlier. What do you think?
Yeah.
Anyways, I think conservatively 4 events would be like, I think he wins more than 1 more. Like, I definitely think he wins 3, and I think there's a potential for 4. And I'm kind of hoping like, hey, AB, don't peak too early. We still have some incredible events. All the majors still are coming up. But when it comes to someone throwing the disc and putting right now, I think AB is the best in the world. Incredible forehand, incredible backhand, and his putting has been on fire. And that's AB's biggest thing, is whether his putting is kind of on or not. And we have seen him, I think he's top 5 or top 6 right now in Circle 1 stats. So obviously one of the best putters in the world, in his Circle 2 putting has been much improved than we've seen in the past. And he's clutching up those moments where the last 2 years we've seen AB make plenty of lead cards at Elite Series events and majors, but then kind of fumbles under the pressure. And we've seen twice now he hasn't completely fumbled it, where you kind of, he made it a little bit testy at chess.com. He made it a little bit testy here at Texas State's, but was able to walk in the victory, lay it up on the final hole, and call it a day.
Yeah, so this is probably a conversation for later. But if you're saying AB can win 5, why would you not make an argument to say Gannon Burr could also win 5?
I think there's a great argument to be
they
had.
are literally neck and neck. And I know AB came on top on this one, but like the margins between them are so tight. So we really saying we're going to have like 2 players.
We're going to have the year of
5
Paul,
wins, and
Paul
then
and Ricky.
Calvin and a few people, trailing off in 3rd and 4th. I don't know. Interesting. Here's the thing. It's really early, so we should classify this in an overreaction category, but it's still interesting.
Yeah, that's a good thought there, Josh. I think my number is 3, honestly, which if saying 3 almost feels like I'm underselling Anthony Brella's abilities. But if we came into the season and said, hey, I think Anthony Brella's going to get 3 wins, you'd almost think I'd be crazy. But 4 wins, like that's doubling it for so many events left in the season that it almost seems like 4 is the number to say. But I think it's Gannon Burr. And then it's players that we haven't even seen win yet. I mean, Nicolas Antela could get another one, but I'm thinking Kyle Klein. I'm thinking Calvin Heimberg. I'm thinking the entire rest of the field who wouldn't be that surprising if somebody like, I don't even know, like a James Proctor finally got a victory. I'm really blanking here because I'm sorting by the wrong stats, but you kind of get what I'm saying. Is like a Joel Freeman finally gets a victory, Ezra Aderhold, Chris Dickerson, like all those guys could win. Like I'm not saying they're going to get more than Anthony Barella and they're contending as much as Anthony Barella. He's clearly on another tier, but if you said those players did win, they could win any event over Anthony Barella given one event. It could happen, and I think we almost gotta like reset our pace and just realize that it's hard to keep this up for an entire season. Calvin Heimberg did it last year. Absolutely incredible. And he only got 2 wins. It's not crazy for Anthony Barella to still finish with just 2 or 3 wins while also having a phenomenal season and being a top 5 player all season. I just think it's possible. But one last stat I wanted to say before we move on, or anyone else has final words about Anthony Barella, is he did put up an 1100 rated round, although it's still pending official ratings processing, but will likely stay above 1100, I would assume. I think it was 1106 in the unofficial, so that's quite a ways above 1100. That's his 3rd 1100 rated round of his career and 3rd since the start of 2021. No player has multiple besides Anthony Barella. He's there on a tier of his own with 3. Gannon Burr also gets an 1100 rated round in the final round, pushing for that win. Unfortunately, falling short of the win, but did hit that 1100 rated mark for Gannon Burr. So, any last thoughts for for Barella or the event before I'm assuming we move into the interview?
Ooh, there's so much to unpack. We'll do that at the end. Anybody else have any final thoughts to that?
After.
Yeah, I got lots of thoughts, but that's a good recap. I mean, congrats to AB. I mean, it's a good start to the season. And by the way, I think he was my season.
Yes, he was.
Pick.
And
so
was
my season pop off.
It hurts. But
I know.
I like my season pop off at a different level, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
It's sad. I don't even remember who my pop pick was. That's how sad that is. Josh probably has a note somewhere. But yeah, incredible stuff that's already happening, and we're starting to look at all these stats. Before we move into the interview, though, we're going to go ahead and do a review of our pop drop lock picks. So let's go ahead and get into that.
we can review you for as much as we want.
Why is Ben so happy?
I always
He
look.
must have already looked.
I always look.
This episode, or this segment rather, is always presented by Hooligan Discs. We're very grateful for their support on this segment. They're shipping out prizes every single time we get a winner, which reminds me I need to contact the winner. I do have their contact, but I forgot to send them the information. They know who they are, and if they've tuned in here, just know we're going to send you an email, and if you don't get it, contact us, because we'll get shipped out right away from Hooligan. With that being said, let's go ahead and pull up some scores here, some points. I could pull up the picks if anyone wants to be reminded of them. I'll go ahead and do that now. They should all be accurate unless everyone changed them. Some of them might have already changed. There we go.
Oh yeah, I changed. By the way, I changed mine before. Mine drop on the show was Anthony Barella, but I changed it right before.
What?
Wait, we can do that?
Yeah, what do you mean?
You can
That
only
should
change
not
it if
be.
the player drops
Oh.
out of the event.
Oh, well, I changed it. I didn't know that.
We play
What?
by different rules
We're
than
having a
everyone else.
massive
Everyone else has
controversy
until
right
7
now.
a.m.
What
of
did
the-
we
of
reveal on the show?
First
Ben has
round.
been trying to slight
Did we
these rules
reveal
since we
Anthony Barella
started.
on the
Yeah,
show?
my drop on the show was Anthony Barella. That's what I'm saying. I didn't know that. I thought we had till 7 a.m.
And you notified nobody that you did it?
No, we have until before
Dude,
the
you
show.
guys told.
Okay, the
Always
chat will
trying to
decide
push
this.
the
The
needle.
chat will
I don't
decide
really
this.
care
This
because
is a
like
long
I got like 3 points from Nuke Humphreys and I'd get like -3 from Brilla. So it's like whatever.
Yeah, that's how it should be. When Josh,
Okay.
keep
You
this-
guys
this
told
season
me.
long,
You quite literally told me
Do it
I
how
have
it
till
should be.
7 a.m.
No.
with the rest of
I'll
the chat.
pull up the chat
with the
right now.
rest of the
4
people.
drops.
We're gonna scroll back. Somebody scroll back in our text because we actually had this conversation and Ben said, "Oh, that
We had
makes
too many
sense."
texts.
So we're gonna let the chat decide.
I don't
The
really care.
chat, no, he
The
doesn't
chat
care.
loves
Chat.
Ben, but we
No,
does
the chat
love
will get to
rules more than
decide.
it loves Ben.
If he reveals it on the show, should we be allowed to? We've already had the conversation privately. We said no, but should we be
Yeah,
allowed
there's,
to?
there's no point asking them.
Yeah, but I'm just
Okay,
curious.
the
like,
chat
have
doesn't
made the
overrule
rules
I didn't know.
ourselves.
I just heard one time you guys said I have till 7 a.m. and then after
If
7
your
a.m. I
player
don't do
drops, like your player like Madison Walker, which we'll get to later.
Which-
But
Thanks,
just
thanks, Daniel.
for all the viewers though and players, you can change your pick as much as you want until 7 a.m. of the round first start.
Yes,
this is a rule
yes,
for
yes,
us
yes.
All right,
five.
now
only.
I know.
No, you knew earlier.
Well,
No,
no,
I
because
didn't.
what
I
happens?
wouldn't
What
have cheated
happens,
like
Ben?
that.
ju-
I
no,
didn't know.
no, we're not. We don't think it was intentional cheating. But what happens if you picked a player to pop, and that's Evan's drop? So he goes in and submits. Then you go back and change it. It's all screwed up. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Come on.
You'd have to be like, hey. So, anyways, we'll
That's
move
not
on
the
from
only
this.
reason,
but this
but
is
yes.
with Ben's cheat. No, I'm kidding. Here we
I
go.
honestly didn't know. That's why I
Okay,
changed it.
all right, that's okay. Here we
I
go.
wouldn't have
This
done
is
it.
Evan's points to be clear, minus 56.
Oh. All right.
Yup.
If we're starting with me, I will give credit to Ben. I rip on Ben pretty often for his picks and general analytics. He got a good one here, Braden Sides. When he put it up, I was not happy. I did not want to have Braden Sides as my drop. And I lost 59 points from Braden Sides. So I did gain 3 points overall. Brody Smith, man, I thought he was going to play good, and he lost me a few points. And then the funny thing
minus
is
50 points.
yeah, with Madison Walker's picked her to pop. She was registered, unfortunately dropped, but lucky for me / unlucky for me, Ben picked the same pop, so I had to drop her. So I was getting 0 points no matter what, no matter if she dropped or if she played
Dude,
amazing or if she played
Everyone
terrible.
drops.
Getting 0 points. So
I've had
I think I
one
got
drop
points from
player.
Kyle Klein, and that was about it. So not the best week for me. We're coming back next week. I was 4th from the bottom, by the way, on the leaderboard. So congrats to everyone else except for 3 people for beating me this week.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah. So let's go on. I don't remember who's next here, but I think it's going to
You just
be.
knew who was worse. Thanks.
Yeah, no, I don't know. We're just going to put Josh up. I don't know if this is the accurate order, but Josh,
Yeah, that
27
is.
points.
That is the order.
Okay.
Hey, at least it's not below 0. Nothing to be proud of, but
But unless you catch a little bit of lightning in a bottle, and I mean that with weekly picks, we've talked about this, Evan, you're going to, especially with the adjusted averages, you're going to average much lower points going forward. That's just how it is. I was able to come up with 47 points, and which, lucky. I feel lucky. And Nick, you'll see why here in a second, because, but I'm going to put Ben up. Ben got 77
Allegedly.
asterisks. Yeah, asterisks.
Should be like 72. Come on.
Oh, I think it'd be 67. I didn't know.
It's
That's
okay.
why I said it with pride, because I literally, like, if I was actually going to cheat,
You
I
just
wasn't-
didn't think
I
we
wouldn't
could,
have
John.
said anything.
He's like, guys, I swooped in at the last minute.
Fake it till you
and I
make it, just
changed
act
my
like
I,
it.
pick.
I
Yeah.
thought about it more, and I was like, wait a second.
That's okay. We'll talk about it after. But it's the reality was we had said on the show more or less, if you commit, that's it. Unless a player drops from the event and you're aware of it prior to the 7 a.m. time, then you could change. But otherwise, no changing. Okay. And then
After we submitted on the show.
after we submit it here.
Yes.
And then drum roll. Nick, you finally did it. You popped off 104
Let's
points
go.
in the top 15 of all players who played the game this week.
Sick.
yeah, how'd you pick Niklas
Awesome.
to drop and you nailed it?
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Everyone
Was
who
just
did good
kind
this
of
week had
kind of
that.
feeling it. you know?
Dude.
I was hoping
wasn't.
Austin Hannum would pop off. That was
He
like
did.
such what I felt
Yeah,
like.
decent.
20
Yeah,
points,
like
Nick.
decent. Yeah, but like I was thinking, like, because what was he averaging in the
Yeah.
90s?
Yeah.
Like if he had popped off like a top. But I did just find out today that he's dealing with a really bad shoulder injury right now.
Oh.
So his forehands, he's not even throwing them over 30% power, which is like,
jeez.
if you know Austin Hannum, he's an incredible forehand player. So just for future notice to you guys.
Yeah, thanks.
But
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody's wanting to play this game against us, I see in the chat people are Daniel from Texas is helping out here, but you can go over to popdroplock.com. The rules are posted there. You can create a free account and play against us, win prizes if you get first place specifically. We'll figure that out next year, how to do more prizes possibly. But there you go. That is Pop Drop Lock.
so does that bring me to number 1 on the show?
Oh, Josh is going to have
What's
to
the
do a quick
standings?
tally. Can you go back to just 5 up on this?
Yep. So if you've seen my eyes looking up and down, it's because I've been, procrastinating and crunching the numbers. But I have first place still, Matt.
Dang it.
But he has 231 and Nick's got 219, so that's pretty close. What's that, a 12
that's
point?
one
I didn't
event.
think he was that far ahead, but I guess he was.
How many
That's
do
one
I
Austin
allegedly
Hannum.
have?
That's Pop.
Ben, we'll give you 180 points. That's what you've got.
Innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, and then I have
You
124.
were proven guilty
and
by
Evan has
4 members of
52
the
on
jury.
season.
I have 52 on the Oof.
If my math is
Dude,
Well,
it's 'cause-
you're the one who
I-
chose the rules for
It's because
yourself.
Braden's
I
sides
trust the
went
math.
off. Is that the? I was asking Matt. Is that the biggest pop of the year? Braden's, like 57 points.
We'd have to do a little
Probably.
research on that one.
I'd say so.
Fun fact,
Probably
Braden
pretty darn
is Pop
close.
of the Week for MPO and FPO. Fun fact, Anakin Sten, she won and she had the largest pop, meaning played highest above her average out of anybody in the field.
insane.
So that's hard to do.
Yeah, one more stat. She the highest differential from player rating to event rating for a winner. I think it's for a winner. Oh my goodness, I should actually have this. I believe it's for a winner since Konopanis / Montgomery.
Oh.
Now Montgomery won
Over at
Waco in that was 2021.
And then Anakin was averaging. I know we talked about
So
averages
popped
here.
off for averaging and her player rating popped off.
Sick.
Yeah, she was averaging 19th of the previous 3 events, and then just goes, oh, you know what? I'll just win. I wasn't even placing top 10. I'm just going to go out and win. And looked
That's also-
dominant.
If we ever want to change up how pop is considered, like it could be a player rating compared to event rating too. Like that is another way to do it. Not saying it's better or worse, just a thought.
It is a thought. It's something to consider. I think ratings are good to give you a general feel, but not necessarily.
But we're looking at the same event. It's not like there was really high ratings here.
We're good.
I'm not like there's
True.
so much to go into it. People don't love the memorial. Does this course also have some same factors?
Yeah, it's true.
That, the memorial lends to a lot of OB or like a really specific skill set course. So I think that's a worthy discussion. But,
All right.
But everyone's
It
playing
is.
the same course, so that's my point.
It is, and we are excited. I would say we have Anakin in the green room, but she was in the green room at 9 a.m. this morning, so we're going to go ahead and get to that, though. We hope you guys enjoy this interview with Anakin Sten, so let's go ahead and pass it over to Anakin. Awesome. Welcome to the show, Anakin. By the way, is it Anakin or Anakin?
The Norwegian way of saying it is Anniken.
Okay, Anakin. I will say it the Norwegian way. Anakin,
All right.
congratulations. A major win for you. At least we feel like it on our side. It's a major win. You're a 4-time Norwegian champion. You've won a Euro Tour event, PCS as a Silver Series event in Europe as well. But how does this title and your first win in the U.S. compare to all of that?
I would say this is like just top notch of above everything that I've won before. It is an incredibly the competition is so hard here, and you just have to fight for every shot to make it. And yeah.
Okay. Yeah. When you travel over to the U.S., you've been here for the 3 events to kick off the season. Do you feel like you're representing your country when you play in a different country?
Yeah, definitely. I have the whole disc golf community back home rooting for me, and Lykke and also Katarina this week. So we were 3 Norwegians here, and I'm just proud to be Norwegian and being like a competitor here in the U.S.
Yeah, we see so many European players now competing at a high level. This event seems to really put a highlight on that. Up until this point, Lykke was the highest finisher from Norway at an Elite Series. You just outdid her, taking down your first. And My understanding is this is your first podium as well. So you did it all in one, your podium and a win on the Elite Series here. Congratulations on that. And if I pull up real quick, we had Evan send over, he's from Statmando in the PDGA. He sent over some stats and he says that you shot your first career 1,000+ rated round as round 1 at Texas State. So how did that feel coming out of that round?
Oh, I was just very happy about that round. I've been wanting to shoot 1,000 rated round for a long time. I almost did it last year at the Norwegian Championship, but it just it didn't happen. And yeah.
Okay. Well, let's add on to that. So you came out of that round and you said you're very happy you got that 1,000 rated round. And then you went on in round 2 to do it and round 3 to do it. And this is a fun fact. You're the first FPO player in PDGA history to shoot their first, second, and third career 1,000+ rated rounds in the same event. You're the first FPO player to ever do that. What does that sound like to you?
Oh, that sounds really cool.
Yeah, maybe you can get some t-shirts made.
Well, I should, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I was definitely not expecting that because I usually have one round that is not good or really bad. So being able to do good all 3 rounds, that was also mind-blowing to me, actually.
Okay. So let me ask then, is this the best disc golf that you've ever played?
Yeah, I think so. Everything just felt easy, and I've never had that experience before.
Wow. So very impressive play. Your putts were very good. Everything was great. You won an Elite Series event. Is that consistency something that you're used to? I mean, the putts, you were draining putts from everywhere.
Yeah, I know that my putting has been one of my strengths for a long time. And I have been practicing and doing some changes to my putts this off season also. And I just had to trust it. I actually didn't find the right feel to it, doing the adjustments right up until I came to Texas, actually. So I'm glad that I found the right rhythm and could use that when I first came here, starting my season.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a true joy, honestly, to watch this event unfold and to see you continue to rise and just keep pushing. What was it like to have Kristen and Owen, the greatest players this season and a lot of last season, of course, number 1 and now number 2, right there with you? Did you feel that as a pressure, or were you able to just play your game?
I felt that I was able to play my game, and I'm just honored to be able to actually play with them because they're such a great players. And I felt like the atmosphere in the group was also very good, and that also helps a lot.
Okay. So the first 3 events of the season, you were averaging a 19th place finish across those events. What do you think changed here? Do you feel like you were playing above your usual performance, or is this something that you've always known you could do?
I guess I always known that I can do it when I done some practice rounds. Every now and then I do shoot good at practice rounds also, but I don't know. I still wasn't expecting it to go that way into a tournament. Like I said, I usually do at least 1 round like crap. Something happens, I mess up or do something, some stupid mistakes and that I can't really fix.
When you say stupid mistakes, is there something that you usually struggle with maybe one of the rounds? Is it putting? Is it throwing out of bounds? What is it that you usually struggle with maybe during those off rounds?
I wouldn't say it's the putting. It's maybe making some, maybe overthinking a bit too much, considering if there's any wind, too much wind, wrong angles and all of that. And also being able to actually do good in wind, because I've had the whole off season mostly in a garage. since like we have a lot of snow when it's winter time in Norway,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was a bit concerned also coming to Texas because I know there's a lot of wind here, and I haven't really been able to practice that. So, and I knew that was a weakness from last season.
Well, you did great. What did you think about the course? So in a post-round interview, Kristen had mentioned that she felt like a player that was in the 800 rated all the way up to where she's at 999 rated, they could all shoot the same type of round. She felt like the course was just anybody's course to play. Did you feel the same? Did you feel like it was a good course for FPO? Of course you won, but what did you think about the course?
I definitely think, like Kristen said, that a lot of players could shoot very well there because it was a lot of reachable, like the distance were not too long and the OB lines were like not too tight. So you could still have like a bad shot and be inbounds and not too tight lines. Like there were options. Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't really thought too much about it, but since we're all gonna play it anyways.
Yeah, and exactly. Yeah, you'll all play it anyways. And you performed very high. It felt like, and I don't know how this translates. Your accent, by the way, is incredible. My wife was watching DGN, and she's like, "Wow, Anniken's accent is incredible for English." And so I don't know if this translates perfectly, but we would call it a birdie or die course. It looked almost as if you had to birdie or else you'd be out of the event. Did you feel that way?
I did. I definitely did.
Okay.
Because I knew the best players would definitely get a lot of birdies out there. So, yeah, I guess you could say it's a birdie or die course.
Okay. When you travel here to the U.S., and I'd like to know a little bit more about that. You had mentioned how your sponsors helped make this happen, but when you traveled over here, what was your goal? What was your expectation when you come over here? Is it just to gain experience, or did you think I'm coming over to win one of these?
So, I had to start like last year. I made some goals trying to, like I said, goals being top 15, like actually like having placement as goals, and that didn't really work out for me. So this year I made goals to just focus on like my putting statistics would increase, blah blah blah, gaining distance, forehand, backhand, all of that, and not really thinking about the placement, because even though I shoot well, someone can always play better, you know? And I think that helped to not think that I have to play good, that I have to place top 10, you know? Of course, that would be just a bonus of having the other goals.
Absolutely. There's so much to unpack here. And by the way, I thank you so much for making time for this. You're traveling today to head back to Norway, if I'm correct. That's correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So thank you very much for taking this time. Can I know a little bit more, find out a little bit more about your history with disc golf? How long have you been playing disc golf?
So I first tried it in 2015, I think. And just like a casual friend of my husband and I, he had been to the US and found the sport, and he said like, well, let's go and play around because we have like a local course. And I didn't like it at all. And I was into other sports. Like I was still involved in figure skating.
Okay.
And was kind of busy there. And yeah, so it was like, well, I tried it. It wasn't that fun. But then in 2017, like I did still like do some rounds every now and then with my husband. But in 2017, I said to myself that, well, if I'm going to continue doing this, I want to try to be good at it.
Yeah.
So that's when I actually started practicing way more.
And practicing, was it based off of like watching YouTube to see how some of these players were playing, or how did you learn to get better?
It was mostly my husband trying to like tell me what to do, how to throw, a lot of field work. I love field work.
Okay.
That's what I like the most.
Did I hear that you have a nickname? in Norway? Is it Mrs. Fieldwork or Miss Fieldwork? Is that how it would translate? No.
I don't know about that, but yeah,
Okay.
people know that I really like the fieldwork practice.
I think someone mentioned it on the Disc Golf Live broadcast. They said something about that. So you like field work. Well, it shows. You're extremely talented, and it's impressive to see your skills out there on the course against the best that the game has to offer. So interesting to note, you have an open bag. You're not committed to any specific manufacturer. So just out of curiosity, do you have a mixed bag of discs, or do you primarily throw one brand?
I do now have a lot of different brands. I mean, I have we've done some collaborations. So I have the signature disc Compass from Latitude. I have the Emperor with Infinite, and then I have Zone. I have TL3. So it's a variation.
Okay. Can you tell us about your other sponsorships? Do you have the bag sponsorship as well as maybe a few others? Tell us about those.
So I'm sponsored by Seeger Bags. The bag I've been carrying.
Mm-hmm.
And We Are Disc Golf, which is Norway's biggest distributor of disc golf equipment.
Okay.
And also PCS Constructions.
Okay.
They were the main sponsors for the silver event. The event last year also. Yeah.
Okay. Have you had any manufacturers, disc manufacturers, pursue a sponsorship with you maybe recently or in the past, over the past years? Do you want a disc sponsor?
Well, I'm open for it. If people want to reach out, they can talk to one of my managers, like Sune or Espen, one of the guys from We Are Disc Golf.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Okay. Well, that's interesting to hear. Have you had anybody reach out over the years, or has there been nobody's reached out?
No, I have, but it has to be the right offer, you know?
There you go. Yeah. And it's true. It's true. So you work with, you mentioned they're your managers over at We Are Disc Golf. Is that something you intentionally set up and you said, I want people to come through my managers?
Yeah, that makes it a lot easier, I'd say. And they can reach out to me, but yeah, it's easier to have people fix those things.
Okay. And when it comes to future goals and plans for disc golf, do you see this as a career option, or maybe you see this as your career now, or do you see it as a hobby, or is it a little bit of both? How do you view disc golf in your life right now?
Right now, it's my main job. It really is. Because I'm in a 5-year deal with Seeger Bags and We Are Disc Golf. So at least I'm doing this for 4 more years.
Okay, at 4 more years. What would it do or take for you to be a full-time tour participant? Maybe, and I know in the United States we think that's where the tour happens, but I understand it can happen also in Europe, and it is happening in Europe. Are you full-time touring, and are you going to return back to the United States at any point this season?
Yes, so I'm going to have April back home, and then I'll come back for the West Coast swing.
Okay.
And I'll do Copenhagen first, and then go straight to O2B, and then I'll also do go back from the West Coast swing and do the Europe swing, and then I'll be back for the fall season here in the US.
Well, your skill and your performance makes us very excited to continue to watch. Regardless of how you finish at the rest of the events this season, you have a win, and that has to feel incredibly good. Maybe that will change the way you play going forward. Do you think this takes any weight off of your shoulders, and maybe you'll see? Maybe we'll see this more often.
Yeah, well, I hope so, but I don't know. I've never been in this situation before, and how that will affect my game. I hope I'll get even more confidence out on the course, but it can go up, it can still go down. You never know. People can have you still see it. We have already had 4 different winners so far.
Yes, I believe you're testing my brain. I think this is all unique winners at this point. I don't think there's a repeat. So this is awesome to see, especially coming off the year with a lot of Kristen Tatar dominance. It's incredible to see. And I don't feel like a lot of players are underperforming. I feel like the FPO division is rising up. And so it's awesome to see. Absolutely. And kind of as we get ready to close this out, I think you had mentioned briefly that you were into figure skating. Is that still at all a part of your life? And what was it? What was it in your life? Maybe 8 or 9 years ago. What was figure skating to you? Maybe even, I think, did I hear something or read something about Youth Olympics? Maybe even like you were competing.
Yeah. Well, so I started figure skating at a young age, like first grade or something, and I did that for a long time. But it's really competitive environment. So at one point I was also doing track and field, and I guess track and field became more fun at a point. So I stopped competing and only competed with track and field. And then I got back into figure skating as a teacher, like teaching young kids how to skate, and also doing some some dance classes off the ice rink with some competitors out, like from my club, and also doing a lot of volunteer stuff. So, and I was the the torch bearer for the Olympic flame in my county. I was chosen to carry the Olympic flame in my county for my work as volunteer.
Wow, that's very awesome.
So I didn't compete in the Youth Olympics. I did not.
Okay. When it comes to figure skating, I've watched my fair share of it in the Olympics. What were some of your favorite? What are they called? They're not called tricks. Maneuvers. What do you call a figure skating? What do you call it?
I'm not sure. Well, we do like the jumps. We do the spins.
What do you do? Full spin? Did you ever do 2 full spins? Like, what's your favorite trick that you ever did?
Oh, I know that I like the jump axle. Like, I guess it's hard to explain. Like, it's the jump like 1.5. I also did double jumps, but nowadays I'm just terrified of doing that. I can do one round, but yeah.
Do you feel like I would imagine in figure skating, one of the biggest parts of it is balance. Of course, you're on a blade on ice. Do you feel like the balance aspect of figure skating translated in any way to disc golf with your balance and maybe form of throwing? Any at all?
Well, that's actually funny that you say that, because I was thinking I did the patent pending shot on one of the holes yesterday, and I was like, well, now my balance comes in handy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I guess that helps a bit.
Yeah, interesting. There's so much more we would love to hear and learn from you about. I know your time is valuable, and you're getting ready to travel across around the world. We thank you very much for your time. Is there anything that we missed that you'd like to shout out? Anybody? You mentioned you have a husband. Maybe he'll watch this later. Or anybody else back home that you'd like to do a shout out to?
Well, my mom and dad, they've been very supportive, and they've been following all along. And I also forgot to my brain just shut down yesterday, I guess, but I forgot to thank my mental coach also for helping me, and also my travel companions here. Like, I traveled with Haiti, Katharina, Linus, and I've also been traveling now with Amy and Paige Hu. It's been incredible. It's been easier this season when you have good people supporting you all along.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you are gaining a lot of fans because of the exposure. I'm sure you've received new Instagram and social media followers and messages. And
sure.
Thank you for getting back to us. We tried a few different avenues to contact you, and it was very nice to hear back from you. We appreciate your time very much, Anniken. It's been a true privilege and honor here, honestly, to interview you today, and safe travels.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. That was the Anakin Sten interview. You guys have heard enough from me. Any thoughts or reactions after hearing that?
Multi-sport athlete, Olympic torchbearer. I mean, those are all things that just had no idea about her. But seemed like a super down-to-earth person. I don't think I've ever had a conversation with her in person while I've traveled. But it was pretty awesome to see, and just kind of the excitement that she had, you know, kind of popping off all those 1,000 rated rounds and then just coming away with a victory.
It was very weird
so
for me
many,
to
like,
interview at 9 a.m., by the way. That was really weird. I'm still wearing the same thing, but go ahead, Josh.
Nice. No, I was just saying, like, not sponsored by a disc manufacturer, but planning to make a career out of it at least 4 more years. Has mental coaches, managers, a tour plan. Seems to be taking it quite professional. Sounds like, you know, that nickname, or at least being known for field work. And you know, we talked about earlier, like, you know, Evan was asking us where to classify her, and most of us said a surprise because I think of what her history has been. But I don't know, insightful interview. It'll be interesting to see. Seems to have the right attitude and enthusiasm. Who knows when she comes back to the West Coast swing? Maybe watch out. But I mean, it's weird in FPO this year with 5 different winners also, right? Are we going to get 6 and 7?
Any other
That's
thoughts?
going to continue.
Any other thoughts from anybody?
Not disc golf related, but I'm always fascinated by just how well spoken in English she is. Like, all the Europeans we see on tour, like, they all know English really well. Even like Evelina Salonen, when we had her on, she was maybe a little bit nervous about her quality of English, but she was phenomenal. But here with Anniken, like, she was as fluent as you can be. I don't know if in Norway it's a common thing to learn it when you're young, or if she just picked it up. I don't know, but that was just really neat outside of disc golf, in addition to all those other cool things.
Yeah, everyone else around the world, I mean this facetiously in some ways, but smarter than us. They're learning all the languages, and I'm over here like, hola, ¿cómo está? And Ben's like teaching me Spanish.
Hola, soy Dora.
So anyways, it was interesting. We were glad to get the interview with her. What's also interesting is that we don't always do this, but we saw as a group such a good storyline forming with Anniken through round 2 that we actually lined this interview up prior to her winning. Now, some might say, are you kidding me? You lined her up and she didn't win and you're going to get in her head? No, she was spectacular. Was happy to line this up. So, and I think it was really interesting to see that we could have had a great conversation with her regardless of the performance at the end. I mean, she was just standing out in all that she was doing, so.
Yeah.
We're getting really close here to bringing in Ezra Aderhold. We'll wait for him to join into the green room, and he had a pop-off performance. And let's see real quick before we bring him in. Ezra Aderhold, I have a little...
I guess I'll say this while you're kind of peeking around for whatever you're peeking for. I think this was Ezra's best performance he's ever had. I know he has some podium finishes. I know he has, I'm pretty sure, a couple second place finishes, maybe 1 or 2 of them. But when it comes to Ezra very, very well having a chance to winning the event, I think this was his best performance. His Circle 2 putting was incredible to watch. And he's right there. And skill level wise, he's up there with most of the pros. And yeah, I think this was his best performance. It was very, very fun to watch.
We'll have to find out what's holding him back. And maybe I need to pull the whole was it a fluke thing again. No, but in all seriousness, he was averaging 44th place through the first 3 events. And then he pops this one off with a 3rd place. So, I mean, obviously he has the skill to do it, and he did it. Anniken did 19 above and she won. If we had 2 people pop off the win from, you know, outside of their norm, at least this season, that would have been incredible.
What I find interesting is, like, he has a couple second place finishes before. I think it's a fair debate about what his best finish of his career is. We can ask him what he thinks his best is. His first ever podium, second place at 2021 LVC, he lost by 8 strokes to Eagle McMahon, which isn't, like, to say it's not noteworthy second place. I mean, Eagle was on another level for that event. But that's definitely not as much in the contention as this event was. But then the following 2 years later in 2023, last year he finished second at LBC, was 2 strokes behind Calvin Heimberg, ties Kevin Jones. I forget how that kind of finished out, but it felt like he was more in contention there. So I think that one could be arguably, maybe that was the one he was most in contention for. I think it'd be good to hear from his point of view.
Yeah, kind of looking back on it in just mine before we actually bring him in, I think LBC last year, I feel like was Kevin's to lose, which he did on the final hole. I think Kevin threw OB on his drive on the 18th hole, so I think that was one of the big things. But I don't remember if if Ezra was 3 strokes back and then picked up a birdie along with Calvin picking up a birdie. I'm not really sure. But anyways, I think this has been, in my own personal opinion, I think his best performance. Yeah, but we'll hear it from him.
Quick neat fact though, after last year's Las Vegas Challenge, she was leading Disc Golf Pro Tour points. I remember the weird, I shouldn't say weird, that's not the correct term, but the wraparound silver events. He plays fairly well at those, or at least one of them. Plus the second place finish at Vegas gave him enough points that he earned more than Calvin Heimberg did because he didn't play those wraparound events. But neat fact otherwise that he has led Disc Golf Pro Tour points in his career.
Yeah. All right. Well, he's been in the green room for just a little bit now. I'm going to go ahead and bring him in. Let's welcome to the show, Ezra Aderhold. Did we not pull up his camera? Is it not working, Ben?
Not sure.
Hold on.
It depends.
I see him in the green room.
What link you gave him, that's why. Did you give him the guest one link?
Yes. And it's not showing up?
No.
Hold on, everybody.
This is why I moved to Florida, so I don't have to deal with this in person.
Oh, I know what happened. Sit tight. I know what happened because we did the Anakin interview this morning, and I had to do some crazy tech change up here. Watch this. You're going to be live here in a second, Ezra, I think. There we go. Okay, let's go to the interview with Ezra. Ezra, this is obviously, you can hear me, right? Test. Okay, awesome. Yes, you sound great. Yep. All right, we're going to pass you over, actually. This is intern Ben's first lead on interview. We're really excited about it. Go ahead, Ben. Take it away.
How we doing, Ezra? Sorry. I said, how we doing? Okay.
I don't know if it's on my end or...
You can't hear me?
No, Matt sounded great. I can hear the lips a little bit, but...
Josh, can you hear Ben?
I can't do anything from Ben.
It's April 1st, bro. You just got April Fool, bro. We set this all up.
There's no way.
Yes, we did.
There's no way.
Ben, are you sweating over there?
Ezra can hear you.
There's no way. But you just disconnected OBS while you were playing that horn, so you just fooled the audience too.
Oh my god.
Okay, that was crazy. I was very confused. And I literally, before this interview, I literally said we didn't do an April Fool's joke this year, so I don't know why. But bravo, that's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Was Ezra muted though?
Yeah, he was for a second.
Okay, so we got him unmuted. So we pranked everybody.
I pranked you back.
It's all
without
good.
even knowing.
Pretty fun, but we're all good now. Hopefully everyone enjoyed that. It is April 1st. I don't know if anybody else is fooled today.
That was hilarious.
But thank you for helping us out.
That was awesome.
Ezra.
I love getting pranked.
I love being pranked.
Serious, it's nice. It was a nice, harmless prank.
Yeah. No, nobody's injured in that. I mean,
yeah, it's cool. It was cool. I'm honored to be a part of it. So welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, just a few questions from me. So you absolutely shredded the front nine final round. Very obvious. Everyone was talking about it. What were your thoughts mentally kind of just leading up to that round, knowing you're going to be on lead card? And how did you keep your foot on the gas mentally while you're birding? And what did it feel like once you got to, I guess, that flow state where you were just like, 6 birdies deep and had to keep going?
Yeah. I learned a lot from my last lead card final round appearance, which I think was Music City last season. And in that round, I kind of thought that Chris was just the person to beat. So I focused way too much on what Chris was doing. I think he had a 4-stroke lead on me going into that final round. And so then all my focus was on him instead of just my own game. And so then I got like halfway through that round and realized that Chris wasn't even necessarily the guy to beat anymore. And by then it was almost too late to even come back and win. So I learned to kind of focus on my own game and just kind of, try to throw the best shot that I can on every shot that I had. And so I took that mindset into this final round here at this tournament. I think that really helped keep me just kind of focused on my own game and not focused on what Anthony was doing. And I think that was honestly the biggest key to at least that front nine, to where I was able to just kind of have my foot on the gas and really just take each shot as it was.
Cool. Thanks for the insight. So kind of go to more after that front nine. I believe it was on hole 11. You lost a Z Venom in the water when OB kind of that ended your birdie streak. And I'm just kind of curious, how did that affect the rest of your round? Was there a time where you were wishing like, oh, I really wish I had that Z Venom for the shot, it's all I've been using? Or was it easily replaceable and didn't really affect you at all, just another disc?
So that the only time I used that disc while the entire tournament was on that hole 3 times, and it went well the first 2 rounds. Unfortunately, obviously I hit the tree. As far as the way it affected my thought process, I was obviously very disappointed in my shot initially, and then Anthony going out of bounds right after me definitely helped keep my spirits up a little bit, and I really felt like I did a good job mentally as far as trying to play my best throughout the entire round. From a scorecard perspective, it looks like I ran out of gas, but from my perspective, I felt like I was kind of always pushing and hunting the entire time.
And was there ever a point where you ever fell out of it, where it was like, all right, I can't win? Or was there just belief the whole way through? And if there was ever a point of where you fell out, what did that feel like to you personally, and how did you keep pushing?
I think I kept hope throughout the entire round until Gannon landed his tee shot on 18 to about 2 feet. Up until then, I was thinking, like going into hole 17, I think I was far back, and I was thinking, technically we could see a bogey finish from Anthony, and I could go birdie, and then we're tied up. And then 18 with the OB, anything can happen as well. So I think really until that final tee shot kind of landed safe for Gannon and for Anthony, I kind of thought that I still had a chance.
Sweet. So kind of more about your game, not necessarily the event. So you were smashing C2 putts all weekend, absolutely just cannon at the baskets, making them in. And the commentators were actually wondering if you'd rather have a putt 1 foot outside the circle or 1 foot inside the circle. So
it definitely depends on the situation. This week, obviously, with my step putt being kind of on, I probably would take the one that's just outside most of the time. But depending on the wind direction and the slope of the green and, kind of all the factors, it kind of depends. Most of the time this season and probably last season as well, I wouldn't even step putt from just outside the circle. I would still just do my normal putt. This off season, I put a lot of time into, and I guess throughout this season so far too, I put a lot of time into my step putt and trying to kind of bring that back as one of my strengths. And a big part of that is adding speed back into the putt. And that honestly has helped a lot with my circle 2 putt. And then, obviously to have it pay off in this tournament was really nice. And the extra speed, especially for these conditions with the wind, and it kind of can just fight through that wind and get to the basket quicker and, have less variance. That was key.
And so when you're doing those hard circle 2 putts, is there ever any? I think that one of the commentators said like it's not a death putt if you hit chains. Is there ever any doubt in your head, or are you just like, I'm gonna send it full force and it's gonna hit and I don't even care where it ends up? So what's your mentality behind those C2? Because you're putting them really fast. Hypothetically, if it does miss, it's gonna go, but it seems like it's working out for you.
Yeah, not a lot of opportunities to even have a death putt at this course. I think maybe hole 3 and hole 5 would be the only 2. And in round 1, I did kind of have that death putt that you're talking about from about 45 feet on hole 3, and I laid it up. It was round 1. I didn't want to shoot myself in the foot that early on, so I laid that one up. So I definitely do kind of factor in all the conditions and try to make the best decision as far as like an average score kind of basis goes. So most of the putts out here, I was able to just kind of run full force, and for the trajectory of my step putt, typically if I do miss the basket completely, which is pretty uncommon, but if I do airball it completely, it's usually still within 20-25 feet, since I do have a nose down release, and so it kind of gets to the ground before I can get too far out of control.
Sweet, that's some awesome insight. I appreciate that. So one of the things I asked a few of my buddies, like, should I ask? One of them, they wanted to know about your off season, actually. So the traveling, what's the reasoning, and what were your favorite parts of it, and just tell us all about, seeing, basically it seemed like you saw the 7 wonders of the world in one trip.
Almost, yeah. The reasoning was kind of just that, I had the opportunity to. I think not everybody is blessed enough to like have a job like this where I do get some free time, and I'm also super blessed to have some friends that also have free time in the winter time, and so we kind of just all lined up to where we had the opportunity to, and we felt like we kind of had to take that opportunity, and it was awesome to see so much stuff. It was a super busy month of travel, a lot of plane flights, a lot of sitting in U-Balls as we're going from place to place, and very little sleep, but overall it was super fun. And then now, with getting a 3rd place finish, it does kind of help me not think that it was completely a bad decision as far as affecting my play goes, since that was a little bit of a worry with the start of the season. But yeah, I mean, overall, yeah, it was an awesome experience. And I don't know, I mean, I think if I would do another one where I, I'm on vacation for that long, I'd probably rather have it right after the end of the season as opposed to like 3 weeks before the start of the season.
Ezra, can you hear me? No, I'm just joking. But you traveled around the world, and you've done that for other disc golf things. But what was your favorite place in person that you were at where you said, "Oh, that by far that was my favorite on the trip"?
It kind of depends on what, I guess, what reasoning. So like Rome was really cool because of all the architecture and just like the perfection of the statues and the sculptures and the buildings and all that stuff was insane. So I hadn't really seen that before. I'm not sure how normal that is, I guess, for Europe, but that was like absolutely mind blowing. So that was probably my favorite part. But then other places like, Dubai was insane as well for just the wealth in that kind of city center. And the Burj Khalifa, and then like the nature in Bali was insane too. So it kind of just depends on, I guess what people like, or kind of what you're feeling in the moment as far as what was my favorite part. I think if I look back, I would probably say Rome was probably my favorite part.
Riding a camel in the desert? No?
You know what? That was actually a scam. So we were all just like, it was. We were just looking at the pyramids, and we had the Uber driver kind of be our tour guide, and we're just kind of walking around, and this guy like starts helping one of my buddies with his turban, kind of tying it correctly or whatever. And then he's like, "Oh, it's like, come see, like, sit on the camel, like, we'll take pictures, sit on the camel, whatever." And he's like, "Oh yeah, cool, we'll sit on the camel." So then, anyway, long story short, he gets all of us up on camels, and then he's like, "Oh, it's like $15 or whatever." He wants to like have us pay for it. And like, we don't want to pay. Like, he starts walking us. So the scam is to get people on the camels, and then they're too afraid to jump off, and then somehow take your money. But luckily, one of my buddies ended up just sliding off, and I jumped off, and then they got kind of mad, and they let all my friends down. So then, it ended up being okay, but they tried to just scam us.
Oh man, good stories. I'm glad I asked that one. That was fun to hear. Cool. Any others, Ben?
Yeah.
Throw it back to you.
Yeah, you briefly kind of touched on it, but just, I guess, now that you come in third and then you've experienced, kind of the not so great finishes like at chess.com, did you think that trip was more of a benefit to like just like free your mind and just not think about disc golf, or was it more of a hindrance that because you couldn't really practice as much as you have in the past? Yeah, I guess that's my question.
Yeah. To be fair, I think it's probably, let's see. I don't think it was a benefit as far as my play goes. I don't think I'm someone who necessarily needs like a mental break as far as playing goes. I'm someone who pretty much tries to just grind all the time and continue to practice. And I feel like that's the best way for me to improve. I feel like it's hard to actually improve at something if you don't actually do it. So the whole like not practicing to get better thing doesn't really make sense to me. However, I did have a tough start to the season, so it's probably easy to look at the trip and think that it was a hindrance. But if I look at the courses that we played, chess.com, obviously it's not a course that I would pick as far as one that suits my game. So playing bad there, not that it makes sense, but as far as, compared to other courses go, it definitely makes more sense. And then Waco was the next event, and I played really bad at the Beast, like I kind of always have, unfortunately. And then I actually played very well at the Lake Waco course. And then the next course, Austin. Austin is a course that I feel like I should do well at, so that was pretty disappointed to have such of a kind of pathetic finish there. and then to bounce back and play good here on Texas, I think also kind of makes sense. So as far as how the season goes, I don't think it's far off of what would be maybe expected from me. You know, typically we have the Vegas tournament to start the season, which suits my game very well. So to kind of miss that super early hot finish definitely taints the season a little bit. But other than that, I think I'm kind of on pace for what a season should be.
Yeah, and I agree with you how you said you're a grinder. That's why I asked the question, because, you know, you're one of the hardest working professionals that I see, you know, which leads into my next question, kind of just about just field work in general. You know, I remember, I think it was after Brewster Ridge last year, I was just driving by and I see Frisbees flying, and there it is, Ezra, in the field practicing after a round. I'm guessing it wasn't that great of a round. So how important is field work to you? Because I know some pros are just like, yeah, I just play courses, field work's boring. Is that something you think everyone should do, and does it benefit you a ton, or is it just like kind of a routine that helps you get right?
Yeah, I can't really speak for anyone else, since I don't really know about games or whatever. But I think for me, it has been a very important part of my improvement in the game. You know, I look back as far as like 6-7 years ago, when I kind of first started getting into disc golf as a kind of potential like professional prospect, as far as like, wanted to make it my career. And kind of the whole way through, I've been doing field work, and I feel like, you know, throwing shots over and over again and kind of building that repetition is super important. It's the same as, you know, going to the putting green, and just kind of getting the reps in and getting the motion dialed in to where it's so repetitive you almost can't mess up. So I think for me, field work has been very important. I could see where people could go to the course and maybe play 2 rounds a day and just throw, you know, 5 shots off of every tee and get kind of a similar feel for that repetition to where it could still be beneficial. But for me, I feel like the field has been just a more efficient way for me to get kind of the, you know, multiple reps into. I don't have to walk 2 rounds. I can just throw all my shots, walk out to them, throw them back. I don't waste a ton of energy walking, and I can kind of just get more shots. And, you know, in ball golf, I feel like if a professional said they don't go to the driving range, it would be like the craziest thing ever. So
Yeah.
you know, I'm pretty sure they all do that. So I think it makes sense to do it in disc golf as well.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. I agree. And I just have to clarify. I said Brewster Ridge Open. That's another A tier at Smugs. It was at Worlds, so it was not at the Brewster Ridge Open. And then I personally have one final question, and I can open it up to Josh or Matt or Nick. So content creation, ever since you've kind of been in the Pro Tour, you've always created content, whether it's from tips, you know, Disc in Place. I've watched those videos. And how much of a pivotal role does content creation have in your career? And has it allowed you to be less stressed about cashing per se? And do you recommend kind of that every pro should at least try making content creation on the side, just in general?
Yeah, it's definitely been beneficial for me on the like the sponsorship side. You know, obviously any company out there is gonna like it if their players are putting out content and helping drive sales and all that stuff. And I think it's been really beneficial to kind of get my name out there on my likeness and get to where the fans can more easily connect with me and kind of build a fan base in that regard. As far as everyone, you know, pursuing content, I wouldn't necessarily say that's the case. Especially with the way disc golf is growing, I think you can make a pretty decent living in disc golf if you play at a high enough level without even having to have any content. So, you know, if somebody's just really bad at it, it's not necessarily for everyone. So I don't think it necessarily has to be a go-to thing. But at the same time, I do think it's a lot easier than playing well. So it's been kind of a benefit in that way too, to where I don't have to necessarily get a podium at every tournament to still kind of, you know, just to still feel like I have some success in some realm. So yeah, as far as everyone doing it, I wouldn't necessarily say it's for everyone, but it's definitely been beneficial for me.
Sweet. Well, that's all I got. I appreciate you talking to me. And Matt or Josh or anyone have anything?
I can weigh in really quick.
Yeah, go ahead, Josh. I know you had a few questions.
Yeah, I mean, nothing. I mean, Ben, you did an amazing job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ezra, appreciate you taking the time with us here this evening. So I was
Cool.
going to
Thanks
say,
for having me
first
on.
of all, totally random, but really nice camera quality. I don't know if this is just your phone, but like this is pretty good for live
Yeah,
streaming.
we'll have to
so-
do a like rating system every year. We'll figure it
Yeah,
out.
we'll rate
this
all
is
our
up there
interviews.
right now. This is up at the top.
And
Heck yeah.
although we can only see partly a stuffed interior, I'm going to say nice car. I can't tell, but the seats look nice though.
Yeah, this is it's a little bit. I've got a BMW. It's a little bit more fun to drive than the RV was for the last couple seasons, and then the Prius before that. So I've been spoiled.
Very nice. I know that's a funny compliment, but literally I'm like, oh, the leather seats look good. So anyway.
Appreciate it.
Hey, so just a few things. So I love hearing players talk about what they learned from past experience. And actually, just a little bit ago, you specifically referenced Music City Open, how you learned on lead card, who you're focusing on. I'm curious. So from this past weekend, the event we're just coming off of, did you learn anything, or have you had time to process what you've learned from this past weekend that you actually plan to take forward to your next opportunity? Does anything stand out?
Yeah, that's a good question. Nothing stands out. I need to. I'm obviously going to try to think about it more, because I definitely want to learn from this experience and move forward in a more positive way, and hopefully clean up any mistakes that I had. But to be honest, I feel like I played good enough in this event to win almost any event. I feel like Gannon and Anthony kind of played a tournament that is incomparable to most tournaments. So I do feel like one thing that I can take from this tournament is that I do know that I have what it takes to win. I guess I've known for a while. It just hasn't quite happened yet. But I need to think about it more. Nothing's popping out. I feel like the shots that I was throwing are very conducive for a championship. I think my putting was on point, especially from circle 2. My C1 putting did lack a little bit, but that's just a skill thing. And then as far as my mental game goes, I feel like this is probably one of the best tournaments I've had in my entire career as far as mental game goes. I was very happy with how focused I was able to stay and in the moment, and not letting the outside factors get in the way of my mental state too much. So I have a lot of positives to take from it, and I need to be a little bit more critical and find out what I can improve on going forward, because I think that will be key as far as getting my false victory.
Yeah, well, we interview a lot of professionals here on this show, and you mentioned one thing that I think is true, which is learning that you actually have what it takes to win, and believing in that is a pretty big deal. So if that's all you take away from this weekend, that'll probably serve you well. Like, I agree, you are right there. All right, so just one other thing. Any new routines or big picture things that are different for you this year than past years? Like, obviously, you just mentioned RV versus BMW. That's quite a difference. Anything else that's substantially different for you as far as your overall tour plans, travel, events, anything worth noting that's significantly different? I'm sure every year is unique, but.
Right. I think this year will probably be very similar as far as, how everything kind of goes as it was last year. Last year, I also had the BMW, and we did the same Airbnbs with Aaron and Brody. I guess one change is what we added Tristan to the mix this season. He's staying with us in the Airbnbs, and that's worked out really well for the last month or so. So that is a little bit of a change. But other than that, I plan on playing, almost every big event that I can go to, and just give my best shot. As far as routine goes, my routine is so boring. I've kept my routine almost the same for the last decade or so, and I don't really have any plans on changing it up. So I'm probably going to keep it all kind of similar.
All right. Yeah. If it works, a little bit of keep your body healthy, keep your diet even keeled, right? And go out there and fine tune on the disc golf course. Well, we like to see it. So again, thank you for joining us here. I'll throw it back to the rest of the show.
Yeah, the chat is coming in with a few questions from earlier on, and they were asking about Ezra and AB doing a round together, a practice round together. They said, I think it was probably they're probably good practice buddies. And then shortly following after that was ask him if practice rounds with Brody help him each week. So I'm just going to kind of put this all together. You're doing practice rounds, you do video coverage, you do it with Brody, people see you playing with AB. Are these fun practice rounds that are on film actually beneficial to you, where you take away like that was quality practice, or do you feel like you get that a different way?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think the having the camera there doesn't really change a whole lot. Like, I feel like if we have the camera there or we don't have the camera there, we're still talking about the shots and talking about what is the best way to attack each hole. And so I think it's definitely beneficial to play those rounds. I don't think the camera really changes anything. it'd be cool to play around with Anthony, even though he's my mortal enemy now. No, I'm kidding. I'm sure he started his YouTube channel up this this last off season as well. So we filmed some videos together. So it'd be fun to have him on the channel as well, and hopefully he'd be down for that.
Yeah. And then let me see. Is there anything else here that stands out that I'm missing? Someone said I missed the days when Ezra would get 23 discs from OTB and compare how they fly. So you've been doing videos for a little while. Have you done anything? I haven't watched every episode since the beginning you started doing them, but I've always known you've had a pretty good quality. You actually had a real camera, not just a phone. You've done all this stuff. Is everything staying pretty much the same, or do you invest back into that now as part of like your production, or is it just kind of plateaued?
No, I do make small upgrades every now and again. The biggest upgrade for this season, I think, is going to be the microphones. So we have had a pretty nice Sennheiser shotgun mic for the last 4 seasons maybe. And that has worked very well, but it's not quite the quality that having a lav mic right next to your mouth is gonna produce. And last season we messed around with a couple different microphones, and they just did not work out very well. And so this off season I actually bought some DJI mics, and those have been very nice. So I think having those hooked up to the camera has added some production value to the videos that I think people will really appreciate, and we'll just kind of keep that going forward.
Awesome. Nick or Evan or anybody else, did we miss anything, or is there something we need to cover, Ezra, that we didn't ask you about that would be important to ask you about?
No, I think we've pretty much covered everything. Evan and I were talking earlier, and one of the things we were talking about was, I was saying personally, I think this is one of the best tournaments that you've had. I've been able to watch, and I think just kind of like you were right there, and for so long, it wasn't like you were there for a moment and then kind of trickled out like you were there until, the final 9 holes pretty much. Talk to us about your other second place finishes versus this one. Do you feel like this was like almost that moment where, hey, I might win this event? Or because like Evan was saying earlier, 2021 LVC, when you place second place, you lost by 8 strokes still. Eagle, or 6 strokes, whatever it was. Like Eagle just had an incredible tournament. So you were there just kind of hanging out, getting the podium. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, I did actually listen into that a little bit, and I think it's an interesting question. I'm glad you brought it back up. I think this is definitely a better performance than that Las Vegas challenge finish. Losing by 8 strokes is a little bit different than actually being in contention for a while, like you said. And also at that tournament, I was on chase card or maybe even third card, and so it doesn't really have the same feel as that final round lead card. Gotcha. And then last season's second place finish at Vegas, also I don't think it has a very similar feel either, just because I kind of snuck into a second place at that event. I think when I finished my round, I was in like 6th place or something, maybe even 7th or 8th. And then the leadoff just kept on bogeying holes because the wind picked up and the conditions were tough. And so I kind of just kept inching my way up the leaderboard until I somehow stuck into second place. That one was kind of just gifted to me. And then the other notable finish I would say is the European Open last season when I took third. And I would say that's still my most impressive finish, being a major. I was only 2 strokes back of actually pushing that tournament to a playoff. And, with the way those holes at European Open go, obviously anything can happen. And, if Corey and Kyle just slipped up a tiny bit on those last few holes, it could have been me holding that trophy. So I think that's probably still my best tournament, but I think this is probably a pretty close second. And honestly, from a strictly play level, this might be more impressive. But I think the European Open is more impressive just because it's got the bigger title.
Yeah, definitely. Evan, how about you?
No, if Evan's here.
Evan,
did Evan leave?
It's so funny. Nobody else can hear Evan because he's not on screen.
I guess he is here.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
So that will wrap up our interview. It was awesome to have you, and we're glad that you're able to join us. If you go all the way back to the first interview you ever did on this show, and my first question in the first season was something like, hey, I was trying to be all tough and big, like, is this a fluke? Well, I am happy to say that you don't need to hear it from me, but coming back on the show multiple times and interviewing you multiple times, it's not a fluke. But I had to ask the question, and at the time, I actually feel like it sets you up to give a great answer, which was like, absolutely not, and here's why, and now you've backed it up. So thank you for coming back on, even in spite of that question I gave you.
Of course. Hey, you know what? The tough questions have to be asked. Disc golf's too soft as it is, so I appreciate it.
Oh, all right.
There we go.
Cool. I appreciate that too. All right, man. Well, we appreciate it. Safe travels. What are you doing in between now and Jonesboro? Resting somewhere?
I guess. Yeah, I don't even have a place to stay tonight. I'm just gonna kind of wing it, I think, and figure it out as I go. I do want to get to Jonesboro at least like 4 or 5 days in advance to start, kind of dialing in that course. But like we talked about before, I'm going to continue to do field work and putting, and that stuff's going to be really important kind of no matter where I'm at. So I might stick around Houston for another day. I might go to Little Rock for a little bit. Who knows? But I think by the end of the week, I should be in Jonesboro.
Awesome. I love it, man. Thanks for coming on the show, and we'll talk to you again another time. Safe travels. All right, everybody. Ezra Aderhold was in on the prank, Ben.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we hit him up. What are you doing? There we go.
I didn't
Pranking
think
us.
Evan wanted to be on screen, so I was trying to, but he was on screen.
So here's honestly, let's just recap real quick the prank, because
that was, I will say that was awesome. Like, I'm honored to be pranked. I'm not even
prior
kidding.
to the
Not
show,
even sarcastic. I think that was
simple
really
discussion. Should we prank Ben? And the answer was yes. And then we started coming up with the idea. I reached out to Ezra. He said, okay, I'm in. And then you're telling me that it was crashing right in the middle of that.
In the middle. So you got pranked too. I pranked Ezra by accidentally muting him.
Yeah, no one could hear Ezra. We could hear Ezra, but no one was hearing. And so what Ezra was saying was, I can see your mouth moving, Ben, but I can't hear you, and that's why Ben's like,
you could. They could hear that part. It was
Oh, the
only when
chat
he was
could?
talking to you. Yeah, I noticed he was muted when he was talking to you.
why was he
Before you handed
muted?
it off.
Because guest one video was muted.
Yeah, but then they couldn't hear him.
OBS was playing tricks on us.
No, they could hear when he was talking to me. 100%.
Why? What changed? Did you hit a button?
Wait, you couldn't hear Ezra?
No.
I clicked unmute Ezra.
I
Long
heard
story
Ezra
short,
the whole time.
Everybody was pranked in this one, but he goes, one of the things, and I don't know if the chat heard this or the listeners, that's why I want to say it. He goes, on purpose, I told
Not
him to
at
say
first.
this.
So they're saying they heard me when I was talking, not when
They could hear you.
No, they heard Ezra too.
Oh, okay. Well,
You'll
I don't know
see.
if they heard this. We'll have to
You'll
listen
see.
to it back. Ezra says, wasn't he
An
the
intern,
intern
yes.
last year? Like, as if like this is the problem. And Ben's like, yes, I was.
I was confused because I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm still the intern. That's why. I was like, that's
Just
why.
proving it.
I was just like in my brain. I was like, I'm still the intern. So like, I don't get the reference.
So, and then we just did this little.
And that's,
And I don't know if
that's when it
anybody heard that.
disconnected. That's when right when it disconnected.
So they didn't
No, that
hear
was
that.
awesome. Thanks,
But
Ezra. Thanks for
We
being
just figured
cool.
you were the right guy, you know? You were the right guy for April 1st. April
Yes.
Fools.
Yeah,
April Fools.
fine with it. Keep pranking me.
You're still losing points for the AB thing.
Yeah, 20-point
Back to
deduction
that.
for cheating.
I didn't cheat.
We're going back.
Penalty.
Yo,
Instead of two strokes,
Evan's
we're
guys,
showing
Evan's
up.
April fooling me. He's acting like he's angry at me for
I'm
picking.
not angry at you, Ben. I'm
Evan's
just
a rules
disappointed.
guy.
All
Evan
right.
is a rules official.
What you don't know, chat, is that during the Anakin interview, because
I
that
was going to
pre-recorded,
war. I was going to battle.
people were scrolling back
Defending me.
screenshots. We got all
Myself.
different things. So
Honestly, if we ever do Patreon exclusive, it should be we just post our weekly text message chain.
they get to be included, but like on mute. Like they can't respond. They can just watch.
They're in the group chat, but yeah, they can only see the group chat.
To be honest, so again, people who listen fairly regularly know I run a lot, which maybe sounds funny, but I'm a big runner. So sometimes I'll go on like really long trail runs, and then all of a sudden some crazy text chain will be like firing off, and I'm just like, I just like can't handle it. I gotta like mute it, and then I'm done, and it's like 64 like messages.
During your run.
Oh yeah, literally. And like if I have my AirPods in, it like reads them to me.
It reads
and
it, yeah.
Yeah,
For
and it's
an hour.
interrupting like a podcast or music or whatever, and I'm like, this is getting out of control.
Okay, like let me just defend. I didn't cheat. I'm not a cheater. I'm taking my AB. I just thought I didn't see Matt's message when he said that because I was responding to Evan, and when I was responding to Evan, Matt's message popped up as I was responding. So
We believe you.
but hear me out. Hear me out.
I don't believe I believe him that he didn't know, but I
Yeah,
don't
I
believe.
didn't know.
Evan, it's Ben. It's like if you're driving 65 and a 65, and then it goes to 50, and you don't realize it. You didn't
No,
know
I'm
it
gonna
went
give
to
you the
50.
explanation
when
right
you
now.
get
Great
pulled over,
analogy.
when you get pulled over, you can tell the cop.
explanation right now. We had a whole argument that you guys said we are following the rules of our listeners. Whatever our listeners' rules. So I'm thinking, oh, it's not 7 a.m. on Thursday. I'm also a listener. I'm following the rules of a listener. So
You're
I'm
not a
like,
listener,
I can
though.
change
You're on
it.
the show.
You're a host.
So I don't follow the rules of listeners? You guys got to make up your mind.
No,
You
we
follow
actually
the
have it
rules
on
You
record.
gotta
of the
make up your
host.
mind.
We actually have a show recorded where we talked about this.
It's
Yeah.
literally every contestant has to do it by 7 a.m. on the first round.
Other than me, I guess, apparently. That's what I'm saying.
No, I have
That's
the
what I'm
same
saying.
rule.
I thought
Everyone
I
has
had
to do it.
I thought I had enough time. I'm like, oh, it's not 7 a.m. on
Other than the
Thursday or
hosts.
Friday yet. I didn't
The
know
hosts
that.
have to be in.
It was
by
just a mad.
6 o'clock on Monday night.
It was a passing
so we have it for
Matt
the show.
comment in the group chat. I didn't even remember or see, most likely, and that's why.
It's all right. We're still giving you the speeding ticket and the fine.
That's fine.
Yeah,
And there
you're
you go.
still allowed to drive your car, but you got in trouble.
Exactly.
I'm fine with that. I just want to know. I just wanted to know. I did not.
You can take it to
Cheat.
court and you'll lose.
I'm not taking it to court. I agree
This is a
with you
dumpster
guys.
fire right now. There
I'm
goes
just
the fire.
not
The fire.
cheating.
The fire.
I think Nick's analogy was spot on. I couldn't agree more. Nice job, Nick.
All
Thanks.
right.
Appreciate
So
it.
we
Wait,
got
that was
all
a pretty
that
good
out of the way.
Ezra interview.
Hopefully that was entertaining to some. Some are picking sides there, and we don't need you to do that. This is all in love. We'll go back to texting tonight. All the heart emojis in our group chats, I'm sure. So
But here's the thing. I only lost
Well,
10 points.
okay.
Evan
Ben
is
also has
negative
an
56.
Android, so I can't really react to his messages.
I
I would give him way
know.
more hearts if it didn't have to be a whole nother message. Like,
Oh man, iPhone. We're gonna raise money to get him an iPhone, but I don't think he's
he
an
had
iPhone
an
guy.
iPhone, and then he
Well,
left.
iPhone
Although
guy.
I was an Android guy for a long time, so I'm not going to hate.
Okay.
Apple should go to what is it, like RMS or whatever that system is.
Please, let's just get rid
all
of the
the
green
technicalities.
bubbles. Like let everybody.
You can also use other things. Like I mean,
All right,
there's
here's the
WhatsApp.
thing.
Yeah,
I'm not a big
true.
WhatsApp fan. There's Signal, which open source and end encryption. I'm a
Well,
big
let's
fan of
talk
that.
about it. Let's get one of these going for
There's
our show.
things you can do.
Yeah. Or we just use Google Docs.
Well, that's for our notes. Okay, so we also have our show notes on Apple Notes, and Mac.
That's
because
because we all. That's because we all have Apple minus Ben.
somebody
Yeah.
has to. Oh, do Google Docs.
Yeah.
All
Matt,
right,
you can't say
okay,
we
all right.
all
Moving
have
on.
Apple.
We
though.
Here
do
we go.
like Ben around here.
Here we
but
go. Someone's
do
got
like
to
the
grab the what is it? The bull by the horns. I almost said the horn by the bull. But
I was
here-
trying. I said good interview by Ezra.
I did
Barella
hear that.
and Burr, outstanding play. We've talked about it. Is there any? We rush into judgments and we climb the ladder to the top on any of these players all the time, super fast. But like, is this the beginning? Is this the bud, if you will, or the seed of a Ricky and Paul thing, or is this way too soon to know that?
Oh, well, so sure, it's a seed. Does it germinate? If you want to play along with that metaphor, I don't know. But like, this is how it has to start somewhere, right? The question is, can it persist? But I think the ingredients are there. Like, they're both playing incredibly well. I don't think it would be a direct comparison to Paul and Ricky because of the way that there was more of an overlap. They didn't both like literally come on the scene battling it out on day one. Right. So like, it's not a direct comparison, but I think what you're talking about is having two players who on any given week are the ones who are stealing the win from the other player. And yeah, we've seen that like in the first four events. So it does feel like that. Given our conversation earlier, does AB win 5 and does Gannon win several? If that's the case, then certainly 2024 will feel like that.
Yes. That's exactly where I was just going to restate that is if you go back to that conversation and it's a 5-5, it's exactly what used to happen. It was either Ricky or Paul. And if that happens here, we'll say it's either AB or Gannon. And frankly, right now, with the way the first 4 events have unfolded, it feels that way. Now, maybe they haven't won each of them, but it's been a pretty big split there. Or not a big split. Any other people feel that this is the seed to that?
I mean, I agree that it could be a seed, but I also think it's going to be a very, like, even if it does turn out to germinate, as Josh was saying, I think it's going to be a completely different type of rivalry because it's a whole new age rivalry. Paul versus Ricky was literally, it was Paul, Ricky, and then like kind of the field. Like they would win some, but like it was clearly Paul or Ricky week in and week out. But then now, like, I don't think it's clearly like you're not going to go into the event and be like, okay, is it going to be AB or Burr? Like, it's not that. It's those two are going to be the top 2 favorites, sure. But like I said earlier, like it could be Kyle Klein, it could be Nicholas Antala. I mean, we could still have Ricky Wysocki, Calvin Heimberg, Eagle McMahon hasn't even played an event this year, and you're not going to tell me that he's going to compete just week in and week out with those guys as well. So it's such a large group of these heavy favorites, and they might be the lead two of these heavy favorites, but it's not a this person versus that person and that's it. I mean, maybe I'm proven wrong, but it would really have to be each of them win 4 events and no one else wins more than 2.
Right.
But I don't see that happening.
Okay, well, let's change it and add a little bit. Everyone else can still respond. But Eagle is going to be coming back. And I don't remember the event he said, but it's got to be soon.
I think it was Jonesboro, was it not?
I hope
I'll
it's
check his
Jonesboro.
page.
If it's Jonesboro, this conversation is we're 2 weeks out from the event start, or a little less than that. Is Eagle going to come back? I'll give it the whole season conversation in Eagle form. I'll give him this, like, come back to Jonesboro, finish 15th, whatever. Like, that's his first event back. But I'm talking the whole season. Do we see Eagle coming back with new discs, off of an injury, having so much time off, and having Eagle form, if you will? I'll give you, like, averaging 6th place.
I'll start real quick by just saying he's not playing Jonesboro, but he is signed up for Music City. And go ahead, Nick.
So another course that's similar, like I think it's actually like a shorter Jonesboro is what Music City is. It's very open if they're playing the same course as last year. But I think, yes, to your point, Matt, I definitely think Eagle, like I would put $20 on Eagle getting an Elite Series win this year.
Josh, mark it down.
We have seen it in
Wait,
years
what?
past of, did I bet against that?
You bet against me with that
Of
same exact
Eagle?
bet.
I don't remember betting against
doesn't
Eagle,
even-
but maybe
so
I
you're
did.
Come out on
No.
win-win
Ben,
scenario.
Maybe.
Ben,
Yeah, but
Ben,
hey, I have a
Ben-
legitimate bet with you, but that may be just because I wanted to win $20. But like, I could totally see Eagle winning an event this year.
Yeah,
But I may-
our,
maybe
our
I just
bet
wanted
is
to bet
that
you-
you said Eagle won't win an event, and I'll get $20.
Got to pull the
Oh,
tape.
all right. Well, if he wins, you get $20. If he doesn't, then I get $20. So, but I can still say like I think he's gonna win.
Yeah, you
Like
can.
I think Paul's gonna win
True.
Worlds.
You
but like
can.
I would
But you wouldn't
potentially
bet on it.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'd bet on the field right now. So let me go back to my point, though. So we have seen it in years past with a lot of these players switching manufacturers and kind of getting this, fire lit again. And they come back, and we saw it with Simon Lizotte. We've seen it with Paul. We've seen it with Ricky. We've seen it with a lot of people. I think Eagle could be one of those people. He seems very excited for his opportunity with MVP. Just watching the Instagram stories and him casually playing and hearing it from other people that have hung around with him. But yeah, I definitely see him come back and do well. And maybe that's winning an Elite Series event.
Anybody else have a feeling on that? Maybe I'm just totally reading into it too much. Watch his vlogs. He's messing around. He's still trying to figure things out, throwing lefty and all that. Obviously skilled, new plastic, really smart throw over the disc. Probably similar to Gannon Byrne in a lot of ways, although I feel like Gannon's almost in a different tier of intelligence with discs in his hand. But what do you guys think? Eagles coming back? Normal season average? I gave you like a 6th
I'll say
place
this.
average finish.
Let me cut you off really quick. I meant to say this actually when I first started my take on it. This is barring his shoulder acting up again.
Okay.
Like
Yep.
if he comes back healthy, and I think when I bet against Eagle, it was because I don't think he's going to fully come back healthy. I think his shoulder is going to. It's kind of similar to what Paul's dealing with right now. I think they both kind of have a lingering injury that is going to take more time to heal up.
Let's say if he plays 10 events, we consider that a viable enough season that he played.
Yeah,
through his
I would say so.
or through his
Without him
recovery.
saying, "Oh, my shoulder was killing me this event, but I decided to power through." You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, also Eagles' history is not quite that. I mean,
Yeah.
he's not afraid to drop out if he's hurting or not play events. Like he's definitely someone who prioritizes limiting events if he needs to. I'll go ahead and, like, as far as the bet of will Eagle McMahon get a win or not, I'll go on the side that I think he does get a win. Last year was the first year in a while that he didn't get an elite or major win. I forget how long it's been since then before that, but he won a number of years in a row in multiple events at that, and he won 2 silvers last year, which, I mean, one of them was over Isaac Robinson after winning Worlds, and the other one was Beaver State, which is now an elite event. So I think the numbers are in his favor, even recovering from injury, even switching bags. I mean, he showed he's a good enough player last year with the consistency he had. I think he's bound to at least get one victory. I think that, it could be a situation where he just doesn't get it. Just like last year, he can play well and not get it. That's not crazy to think of. But I think he's just going to be in that mix of a lot of really good players. And it's tough to get that win. I mean, it's almost like a cop-out answer. I feel like I say this too often. But I don't have concerns over Eagle's shoulder. Maybe like long-term history. Maybe it's something he deals with often and has to take events off every couple months or whatnot. But I don't think it's a career-ending type injury. It doesn't feel that way to me as a non-medical expert who has no update on his recovery process. So take that for what it will be. But I don't know. That's my take.
Good take.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Ben, do you want to change your bet?
No, I mean, my bet was that Eagles gonna win, and
Yeah, good bet, Ben.
thank you. Evan's agreeing with me for once. It actually makes my heart warm.
I agreed with you when you had Braden Sides as your pop picked. I didn't like it
You just picked him as your drop, though. But
because you picked him as your pop, as in the rules I pre-made that I stuck to.
I think we got to
So,
change those.
Why did you guys
All
make
right,
that
continue
rule?
on, Ben. I'm sorry to cut off your point. Continue on.
I think we made the rule because I don't know. Evan did. I don't know. Evan just made the rule.
What a horrible rule.
Yeah, it's
I mean-
backfired more than I thought. But okay, I didn't want to make this about me and Pop Jog Law. Ben, you were going on your subject.
Thank
I do
you,
want to
yes,
hear your points.
thank you,
Please
thank
continue
you,
on.
thank you.
Sorry.
This show.
What a show.
Yeah.
That'll do, my friends.
That's all I was gonna. Literally, all I was gonna say. That I think Eagles are gonna win, barring his shoulder's healthy. I think it's gonna take him a few events to get to full form. To me personally, but I think I'm hoping for like end of season Eagle to pop off. Maybe maybe an MVP open. He was so close to winning, but then Adam came back from the win. So I don't know. I'm thinking the end of the season he's gonna be more comfortable and take that dub, and I'll be $20 richer, and apparently so will Nick. Well, it offsets. So you would owe me $20, Nick, and then
Yeah, I would
you
owe
pay
you $20.
yourself $20.
Yes.
So you'd
Why
have
would I
zero.
pay myself any money?
Because you'll win that
Because
bet.
you said I'd bet $20 that he does win. So if
Oh,
you're making two
yeah.
opposite bets,
Yeah.
it's zero.
Okay, moving on to the next topic because this show has fallen off the tracks 40 minutes ago. FPO layout. I asked the question to Anakin partly because I felt intrigued by how the course played visually when I watched it and how the scores unfolded. Also because Kristen Tatar brought it up where she said, hey, I feel like an $8.99 player can play the same as a $9.99 player here. And if I'm reading into it too much, that's on me. But I felt like Kristen was implying that she was a little bit bothered by that and she was thinking these thoughts mid-round, whether it was the first or second round. And she said she had to turn those thoughts off because she says this is what we've been given. So it seemed to me like she was feeling like it tests everybody's skills the same. That's what I heard her saying. But it was almost as if she was bothered in ways of like, man, everybody's in this and I have advantages when I can play the par fours that are longer or whatever. My question to all of you is, do you like seeing this for an FPO course where it seemed to be you need the birdies or else you're out of the event? Who wants to respond to that? Josh? Evan? I hear somebody talking.
Yeah, sure. I'll take it. This is the same point I've had. I try to stick to it. I love variety. And literally last week we saw a tough wooded track that wasn't, I mean, there were a good amount of birdies, but there was a lot of bogeys, a lot of tough scores, a lot of fighting for pars. And I truly enjoyed that. It was a change of pace from Waco, and it was a change of pace from chess.com and Olympus. This was a change of pace where we don't see this often, and especially for FPO, where it's just a rush for birdies. It was birdie as much as you can. I mean, Anakin Sten was the first player all year to hit 100% C2 in regulation. Like, we don't see people hit the green with that type of consistency. And I mean, Anakin played great, like she did it, but it was also, the type of course it might not be possible at Olympus to hit 100% of C2s. That would be incredible. But it's the change of pace. If we saw this every single week, sure, it would get boring. If we saw, maybe all this craziness every week, it doesn't really feel right. But this felt like a good place. Like, it felt like it worked in with the schedule. I enjoyed it as a viewer. We saw some toughness. We saw some last week. We saw some birdies this week. That seems great. And I think the question that has to be asked and then answered, or at least just as in a thought, is what type of event do you want to see? Do you want to see one where it's no matter what, the best player always comes out on top? And in theory, that sounds great. But then what do we get? Kristen Tatar is clearly the best player in FPO. She's going to win 100% of the events because she's the best player. And if just by rating points, she's over 15 points, right? I think higher than the next highest rated FPL player. Like that's significant, rating point advantage. She should be winning on every single course, but she doesn't. And why is that? It's because, first of all, ratings are just an average. She is the best player and she's the best player in consistency, but other people can play better that week. That is one statement. But then also, if you had courses that were perfectly suited for Kristen Tatar's excellence, which she's good at a lot of different things, so that's hard to have something that I don't know. But my point being is this course clearly had the excitement. It was 3 players coming into the final few holes and you didn't know who was going to win. I mean, if we were putting betting odds on who would have won out of Onska against Kristen Tatar and Anakin Sten would have been the clear third choice player with the worst odds, lowest chance to win. Like that was clear, and yet she did it. And that was so exciting to watch. It created this huge, awesome narrative that she came out and beat Kristen Tatar, who's the best player in the world. That was awesome to see. And that's, I think, the best thing for disc golf there. So if having a course like this is like the worst thing in the world, I say no, it's not. That course did what it was supposed to do. It created a ton of excitement. Now, if 890 rated players were competing in week in and week out with 990 plus rated players, I don't think that's a good thing. And I think that's also an exaggeration for what happened here. I don't know what Kristen's exact words are. I'm not trying to say she's wrong. But I don't think that was quite what was happening here. I think Anakin Sten's a tier above that suggestion.
Yeah, and I'd have to go back and totally quote it there, but it was following, I think, her 12 down performance, Kristen, where she, again, it's my interpretation of it, but I see it in the chat here as well. Someone said there was an offhand comment about the course being, quote, easy. They felt like it was her putting the course down. My feeling was that Kristen had this feeling about the course as not being able to display maybe the excellence of the better disc golfers, and the others are able to keep up. That's a whole conversation in and of itself. All the points you made, I agree. Great for disc golf. I think it makes it exciting. If I go out and play the red course at Maple Hill against Ben, or one of my sons comes out and plays against me at Reds, or we have Paul Macbeth, or pick any player nowadays. I mean, there's going to be a difference. But when you compress the throw's length to like a red course, all of a sudden we're all in contention because anyone can have a bad day. So it is exciting. But
so that is a true fact. It's just a matter of if that's what we saw or not in Houston.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true.
Ahead,
I mean, take Waco, for example. You can have too easy of a Pro Tour course. And I think Brazos East is one of those courses where anyone has a chance to pop off and anyone has a chance to win that turn. Back when it was just Brazos East, so before they added the Lake Waco course, we've seen Colton Montgomery in a shortened tournament, but he did pop off the final round, the second round of that tournament, and did come away with the win. And we've seen multiple just like different winners almost every single year playing from Brazos East. That's one of those courses where you got to hit lines in the woods, but you have par threes that are 220 feet. You've got par threes that are 290 feet. Like you have very easy holes to where Waco is kind of like a birdie or die fest when it was just at Brazos East. So you can have easy tour courses. And I think we could also see it from the MPO side. AB popped off a 16 down, 1100 rated round. Gannon-Burr, the final round, popped off a 15 down, final 1100 rated final round. So you could say like, yeah, those courses are maybe too easy for the Pro Tour standard, but it did add a lot of excitement in it. So it's kind of like, I mean, Simon has said this multiple times. He would love to see kind of like a par 3 tournament to where you have a really, really good par 3 course. And it is a birdie or die. You have to hit specific lines in the woods and you have to make your putts. And that's something that in the local scene of disc golf, we see a lot. Over the years, the MPO division has been extended on a lot of these courses, even from A tiers, B tiers, and C tiers. But for the most part, I think, like for me personally, that's why it's so much more enjoyable to play A tiers, B tiers, and C tiers, because we're not playing these super, super long courses, and we do get to play birdie or die courses. I think those are really fun. But Matt, your point was great to where if you took us at the Staggered Stance crew and we all went out to Maple Reds, it's completely different than if we were to go out to Maple Golds together. Like we would have like, I would, not to toot my own horn, but yes. I think I would have the advantage of going to Maple Golds against you guys rather than Maple Reds. Like yeah, maybe I'm still a better player, but at the same time, these are all holes that all of
We
us
can
can
all
reach.
achieve,
Every single hole on reds is birdieable for us as the Staggered Stance crew. But on golds, there may be some holes like that
A lot of
you
them.
might not be able to birdie because maybe you don't throw it as far. Like maybe hole 1 is a little bit too far from you. You kind of see that on the Pro Tour as well.
Okay, so
I would say with this last course. Now, I don't think, you know, it was. I don't know Kristen's exact words.
this is where I was going to go.
Yeah.
I want I want you either in whoever wants to respond to this can. Maybe I'm putting words in her mouth, but if the implications of what I heard are accurate, what do you think about a player feeling that way? Like, I know we hear it's cool, right? But it's just interesting coming from her.
I guess I was kind of thinking of this earlier to where I was thinking of singular sports, and ones that come to mind are golf, tennis, disc golf, and kind of looking at tennis where at a time Roger Federer or Nadal or Djokovic were, you know, the best players at their respected sport, but they might not have been as good on grass as they are on clay. And so every so often you're going to have a tournament that plays on clay, and that might be an advantage for someone else. Like, I didn't watch every single hole of this tournament, but maybe it was a little bit more lefty friendly than we're used to seeing. And Anniken had a phenomenal tournament, like played above her rating, played above what she's done in the past, and she had a great tournament. Like, even though you're the best player in the world at disc golf, it does not mean that you're going to win every single event. Now, Kristen does have the advantages, usually when tournaments are 4 or 5 rounds, because she is so consistently good. But we have seen her, you know, she's won 1 tournament this year out of the 4 Elite Series events that the FEO, or 5 Elite Series events and 1 major, 4 and 1 major that we've seen. So I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you can be the best player in the world. Like, look at Paul McBeth's 2015 season. He still got beat at the Hall of Fame Classic by Michael Johansson, who's an incredible, incredible woods player. So Michael Johansson, even though Paul was the best player in the world and the best season that ever has come about, Michael Johansson still has an advantage in the woods because that's what he is so beyond good at, that it kind of evened out the playing field to where it gave someone like MJ a shot to win that tournament as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if that fully answers what you're asking, but I guess that's kind of my mindset on it.
Yeah, I was just surprised. I'm just surprised. I feel a different feeling out of Kristen this season, not because she's losing, but it might be bringing things to the surface for her based off of things she's coming into the season with. But that's all. We'll just keep watching it, keep an eye out, and see what we think. Not right, wrong, or whatever. Just interesting to look at and understand or study. I'm going to throw a few names out there as our closing reactions here. Specifically on the MPO side, I've done this a few times recently. Isaac Robinson, yes or no, he's going to do fine the rest of the season.
It's so funny. I actually wanted to bring him up earlier. Is like, where is our reigning world champ? We haven't really seen him yet. And
Right.
So do I think he will? Like, you know, he's a 2-time major winner. He's the reigning world champion. He has Elite Series wins under his belt. Like, I think when we get to courses that better suit his game, he's going to have success at them. Like, you know, if he pops off at Idlewild again, it would not surprise me.
Anybody else feel fine? Isaac Robinson?
Go ahead, Ben.
Thanks, Evan. So nice today. I think I don't know. It's tough. It's not like he's been doing, like, he finished 6th at chess.com, and he's kind of, his worst finish was 47th at Waco, and then 29th at Open at Austin, and then just recently 22nd. I think it's the whole allure that he is the world champion that, you know, we've seen, you know, Paul McBeth win and then dominate and stuff like that. But the competition is getting higher, as we keep talking about. It's harder to win. It's harder to score well. So me personally, seeing those finishing places from him, I know he's probably bummed, but to me, I'm not thinking anything of it. I'm not like, dude, where this guy fell off. I think, you know, it's just the disc golf, how it is right now. You know, if you don't have it a certain weekend fully, then, you know, you're not gonna win. So I don't think he fell off by any means. I think
if he finishes averaging the same throughout the whole season, you don't think he lost anything compared to last year?
If it, like, finishing the same,
Yeah,
as
like
in,
26 average. And last year he finished 16th average.
Yeah. Obviously, he won worlds. And,
so you're
and
saying he's
Champions
going to
Cup.
do better?
Yeah, I think he's going to do better, but I don't think it's anything out of the ordinary. I don't think he's doing worse, is what I'm saying. Right now. Give it to the season. I'm pretty sure he did bad last season in the beginning. So I'm
True.
just saying.
He did ramp it up.
I'm going to piggyback off Ben, because Ben, you're making a lot of points I want to make. And your last point is the point I want to make, which is he's doing better than he did last season at this point in the year. Last year, I mean, Vegas is no longer on the tour, but we substituted Vegas with chess.com. 82nd at Vegas, 6th at chess.com. Then we go to Memorial, he did go to Memorial. That's off the tour, excuse me. We go to Waco. He finished 45th at Waco last year, 47th at this year. That's the same thing. Both aren't great. They're the same place. And then he goes 25th at Austin, 52nd at Texas State, although that was a silver last year, but it's at the same course. It was a strong field last year, but he goes 25th, then 52nd. Here he goes 29th. That's the same thing as 25th. Then he goes to 22nd. So that's clearly better than 52nd. So he has two finishes that are pretty much the exact same at the same events. And then he has two finishes which are way better, one being 80-something compared to 6th. That's better. And sure, you can say Olympus is a better course than the Wild Horse courses for Isaac Robinson's
thank
game.
You, Evan.
No, for his game, you got to let me finish my thought, my phrase. I love Olympus, but also I didn't get to play Wild Horse, but I honestly love that course too. I think people were a little harsh for those courses. But anyways, that's not the point. The point is Isaac Robinson, and it's the most obvious take any of us could have, but it's still, I think, the correct take, which is let's give it time for the courses that suit his game the best. We're going to see him turn it on. Champions Cup, he's the reigning champ, different course, but you're not telling me, I don't know where he actually finished at Ledgestone last year, but you're not going to tell me that he's just going to throw a dud up at Northwood Black. Like, I expect him to play pretty well there and have a good competition. And I think the last point I want to make is because there's so many good players, and just the way that our coverage is, it's really easy to have a pretty okayly decent finish, especially for his tier. Like a top 30 is, I call pretty good. But for Isaac Robinson, it might just be like, that's below what I should be doing, finishing in the 20s. But anyways, you can just be totally hidden from all coverage. You're not appearing on any post-production. You're not on a high enough card to be on live. You're not up the leaderboard enough for people to immediately notice you, but it's still a good finish. And that just is what it is. Like, that happens in any kind of sport that's a large field like this. It's really easy to be hidden in the field, and that's just how it is. And so you can have a good finish, not be seen. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing, but you want to be seen. That's kind of the point. His sponsors want him to be seen. He wants to be seen for his sponsors and for his fans. So I think he wants to have a better season than he's having right now, but I think it'll happen.
Yeah, you mentioned Ledgestone last year, 15th place for him. So
hey, look at that. And that includes 2 rounds on Eureka, which if people are going to stereotype Isaac Robinson, they're going to be like, oh, he might not gain strokes at Eureka, which I don't know how he did. He might have done totally fine. But people are going to stereotype him, as it kind of has proven to be fairly correct, that Northwood is where he's going to pick up strokes.
Wow.
And Champions Cup will have four rounds at Northwood Black. So
but
buckle up.
If I'm reading into stats too much here, it's because I'm reading statmando.com, which has a lot. But if you look at 2020, he did 78th place. 2021, 14th place. 2022, 43rd place. 2023, 15th place. So if the stats are going to keep on the same trend, he's in for a bad year. It's every other year.
Yeah, but converging towards the top. So
that means Paul's winning USDGC this year.
True. Okay.
Is it a third year?
Could
It
happen.
is.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. And it will be awesome if it happens. So, all right, we've made it to the end of the show. There's so much more we could keep talking about. We're going to keep trying to bring you all the interviews we can. We tried to line up AB. What we're finding out is the richer players get, and I don't know if AB's rich, but the richer players get, the more they start flying in and out of these events. And on a Monday show, they're flying in and out at the time of our show, where in the past, man, we'd get Gannon Burr on driving over the mountains and through the hills. Like, they're driving places. So we'll do the best we can to line up the interviews for you, or do like I did today with
Here's the thing.
Anakin.
AB's rich off jerseys and disc sales alone. So I bet he's rich.
Okay.
I bet he's pretty rich.
Wait, by the way, speaking of jerseys, does anyone know what his jersey from his final round is supposed to like be? All of them are like Arizona themed or Arizona sports teams. I wasn't making the connection. It seemed like it was supposed to be an Arizona sports team. It was number 11.
Yeah, it was
I had
11.
no clue.
Maybe he chose
But I
it.
don't know what it
Anyone
was.
I don't.
I feel like I know sports, and I'm clueless.
Go-
I could match up all of his other ones.
Go to Discraft's Instagram because I know Bob made a video wearing one of them, and I'm not sure if it's the jersey that he wore on the final day that you're talking about. But if you go to Discraft, you might be able to find it.
He's the next $1 million
or
player.
The Instagram.
Or our viewers are pretty smart. Drop it in the comments because I would appreciate that.
Bingo. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in on this wonderful Monday night. So great to be able to host Staggered Stance with the cast around me. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you to Disc Golf 978 and Hooligan Disc for bringing us awesome stuff to do with the community. Check us out on all your favorite podcast platforms. Tell someone you love them this week. We'll catch you on the next one.
Guys, I quit the show. April Fools.
I'm out.
Just kidding. Nick, you're awesome. Evan, you're awesome. Josh, you're awesome. Ben, you're awesome, bro.
Rule breaker.
We'll talk to you guys next time. Love you all.
See
Appreciate
you next
it. Peace out.
time.
Peace.
Later.
April Fools, Ben.
Got him. All right, bye.